Welcome back to Doors and Corners. I'm Brian,
I'm Zach.
and we are kind of starting afresh. This should be very end of 2025, very beginning of 2026, and we're going to dive back into something quite exciting, Zach. What are we going to go back to here?
Yeah, well, this year we decided, 2025, I should say, we decided that we were going to begin the year off by starting Marvel. We went through Marvel Phase 1, specifically of the MCU. And we decided that because Iron Man 3 is, oddly enough, taking place at Christmas time, and we're like, we should do a Christmas movie. We're jumping into the MCU a little bit earlier than initially planned, and we're going with Iron Man 3 for a Christmas special, as of sorts. Nice
Yeah,
little holiday ring in. Because I was thinking Violent Night, or maybe Gremlins or something, or watching one of those cheesy fantasies one, but it's just like, nah, dude. This is like Christmas movie. Let's do it.
you completely dismissed my all-time favorite Christmas movie. By the way, I'm deeply wounded. Just we got to tell you that.
Wait, did you suggest Die Hard?
Yes, you did. I'm like,
That
we
would have
should
been a
just do
fun
Die
one.
Hard just for laughs. And you were like, didn't even respond. You just moved on to other movies. And I'm like, well,
I was at work.
apparently he's just like, no, not even deserving of a response.
Well, we already had Iron Man 3 on
No,
our
we did.
schedule for like
It's good.
2 weeks from now. So it just like, let's just move it up.
It's
Let's
just
do
yeah.
it.
No, I'm actually more excited to revisit Phase Two because outside of Winter Soldier, Phase Two is I have not watched Phase Two in a long time. I haven't seen Guardians, the first Guardians. I haven't watched it in years. I have not
Mm.
watched this in years. Thor: The Dark World. I've been meaning to revisit because I suspect I'll actually enjoy it more than I'm supposed to, but I'm still sure that it's got some major flaws. And then when we get to Age of Ultron, that's another movie that's got major flaws, but I like that movie. I'm sorry if anybody who's like,
Well,
what? So
I'm in
I'm
this
like I'm
situation.
excited about Phase Two.
So am I, because I think that Thor 2, I can't consider it one of Marvel's best, but I
No,
think that
no,
it
no, no.
gets a worse rap than it deserves. I think that it tried some things that was interesting and should be kind of lauded for. Um, but it's also kind of fun because it's some of the quote unquote worst movies of the MCU. Very much like movies made by committee. They're making a product, not like a work of art, even though you say that some of them definitely are passion projects and works of art in their own ways. Um, but it also has kind of the ones that are seen as some of the worst, which thus make it a little bit on the fun side because we get to explore what makes these movies good, what makes these movies bad, what makes them enjoyable, what makes them not. And starting off with Iron Man 3 is really starting off with a bang because this movie is really one of the weaker ones in the entirety of the MCU. But you currently have some people who have revisited it who claim that it's actually an undersold gem and that it deserves more respect. And I'm not going to say they're wrong because it does so many things really well, but with it, it also does so many things so badly that you can't. It's not great. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's bad, but it's not great.
Okay. Yeah, it's interesting. Before we started recording, I was telling Zach that it's fun because we don't always like consult ahead of time to really compare notes, but that makes for a good podcast because I know people who just consider this the bottom of the MCU. And then I have a friend in particular who just really thinks this movie is like you said, he's just like, oh, it's the fact that you don't consider it one of the best just means you don't get it, man. You don't understand it.
What are
One of those type of things.
those?
Oh yeah, you can hear the voice, right? But it's interesting because
Too deep for you.
I have just jump right to the biggest twist in this movie really quickly and just get it out of the way right away. I've said on this podcast more than once, I was never a big comic fan. You are much more informed, and I don't know where you are on the Iron Man comic specifically, but I just in general don't know the comics very well. I especially in the Marvel universe. I think I've read like 2 Iron Man comics ever, so I was not attached at all to the Mandalorian twist. And so when it
The what
happened,
twist?
the Mandal did I call him Mandalorian? The Mandarin.
Yeah, you did.
The Mandalorian. You know,
Now that would have made an interesting Iron Man movie.
well, you know what's funny is earlier today I was actually watching some Star Wars stuff. It must have been in my brain, but yeah. So the Mandarin twist was I didn't have any attachment to that. My only understanding of the Mandarin had been my son when he was quite young enjoyed. There was like a young Iron Man animated series that ran for like 2 years, where it was like Iron Man like as a like Tony Stark as like a teenager, and it was like a very early Pixar style CG animation style. Did you know what I'm talking about?
I have never even heard of this, bro.
Okay, it's on Disney Plus. I mean, basically, it's just it's like Iron Man for kids. They're all teenagers: Pepper Potts, Happy Hogan, but they face all the villains, and people are probably cringing listening to this, like, oh my gosh, Brian, call yourself a nerd. But I just
Hey,
that was
different
my
nerd foci, okay? I
yeah.
have different nerd
I just
focuses.
didn't have
It's
any. I
okay.
knew the Mandarin was a famous Iron Man villain. I just didn't, you know. So the twist for me was very just like, huh. It was really a reaction purely based on the trailers telling us it was going to be a certain way, right? And then what the movie actually did.
Hmm.
So it was more of a interesting twist. And I'll have to admit, you know, Sir Ben Kingsley, one of the greatest actors of his generation, and he nails the performance of the Mandarin, and then Trevor. So it's so good. Like I kind of
Oh, I
love
really
it
like Trevor Slattery.
just because he's so good. He's just because he is
Yeah,
so
yeah.
menacing in the like the fake footage, the doctors, and then he's so good as Trevor, and it's so I just enjoy it. Like I kind of enjoy it independently of the plot, which
Hmm.
I'm not sure we've talked about this particular actor. I have a soft spot for many actors. I love Hollywood as far as just like I love kind of the best actors, and I really get attached to certain actors and what they can do, and Guy Pearce is one of them. I've talked about Thomas
Hmm.
Jane is one of my famous man crushes or Hollywood crushes, but another one is Guy Pearce. I really like Guy Pearce. He's one of those actors that I will usually see something if he's in it, just because he's in it. And I was really
Yeah.
excited that he was, playing this. And as much as his performance for the most part is fine, I I just didn't like the character that he ended up playing
Yeah.
in this. And I think that's to me, like, people say, oh, they twisted because of the comics. This, like, no, you the biggest problem I have with it is just his performance as it's just
Aldrich
not.
Killian.
It's not for
It's not
somebody.
interesting. It's not dynamic.
Yeah,
It's not
it's not. And
unique.
Guy
Because,
Pearce
mhm.
is a phenomenal actor, and and not that his
Oh, yeah.
performance. I think it might be more the writing or the directing. And you want to talk about Shane Black for a second?
Well, I mean, I was gonna
Go ahead.
jump in on Guy Pearce
No,
because I
yeah,
also
go
really like
ahead.
Guy Pearce. One of the movies that I saw when I was a young man was the movie The Count of Monte Cristo with Guy Pearce and Jim Caviezel, and I loved it. Led me to read the book, which is very different from the movie. But if you like a swashbuckling action adventure, the 2000, 2001, something like that, Count of Monte Cristo movie with Guy Pearce as the villain is a lot of fun.
Yeah, he's
And
good.
he plays a great villain in that, which you and I are both fans of the show Person of Interest with Jim
Mhm.
Caviezel. And in the first season of that, they actually have a scene where a kid is reading Count of Monte Cristo for school project, and he's just like, that Edmond Dantes character is a badass. And it flicks over to Jim Caviezel, and he's giving us a little small smile. Um, but I really like Guy Pearce, as you were saying, in a very similar vein. However, in this movie, I think that his character is just kind of trying to be a rehash of what we've already seen with the character of Ivan Vanko in Iron Man 2, mixed with Justin Hammer. You have, oh, what if Iron Man was actually evil? What if Tony Stark never had his redemption arc? And it's Killian. Um, because, everything about the character is supposed to be a mirror of Tony Stark.
Marvel really
His
does
ailment
like,
was fixed through science and stuff like that.
yeah, they really is it Marvel? Is it the MCU, or do the comics also just love to do mirror villains? Is that just a thing that Marvel is obsessed with,
That's
or is it just comics in general?
that's a thing that superheroes are obsessed with. That's a comic book thing.
All right.
You're always going to have a villain that is in some way uh now we see but through a mirror darkly.
Mm.
Um, it's the classic pairing. You take a character who was just raised in a terrible situation and his parents were killed at a young age and he's a genius and wealthy billionaire type of thing. Oh, but instead of turning into Batman, he actually goes into organized crime and you have the Penguin. Um, and dozens of other situations. Zod or Bizarro for Superman. Um, the Reverse Flash for the Flash, which is just fascinating.
And even like
Um,
in Heroes, right? It's like, well, what if it was, Batman but with a bow and arrow? um,
yeah.
it's just,
Well, that's just different comic books trying to copy each other, and then
yeah.
they ended up getting bought by the same parent company and combining universes.
Yeah. As much as I love comics, like, I mean, sorry, I'm saying that as somebody who doesn't read. As much as I love comic book characters and superheroes, they they do struggle to come up with new ideas sometimes.
hmm No, they're really struggling, especially now. And um, I'm not. I love comics. I like reading comics. To sit there and say, "Oh my God, all comics are great," in their own way, you could say that. But so many comics are just absolutely awful. And when we're talking about the character of the Mandarin in this one, uh, I don't have a strong opinion on the Mandarin similar to you. I think that there are ways that they could have handled him better. I love the movie Shang-Chi, which reinvents the character of the Mandarin. Um, but in this one in particular, I've read some comics that had the Mandarin. I saw some animated movies. There was an animated movie that came out in I think 2006 or 2007 that was like an Iron Man origin story before the first Iron Man MCU movie, and the Mandarin was the bad guy on that one. And the fact is, they've moved away from the Mandarin so much over the past 30, even 40 years because of his potentially racist, Fu Manchu like appearance and storylines and powers and such. But his whole thing is that he's supposed to be the Tony Stark of magic. He's a sorcerer from the East who gained all this power through the Ten Rings, and it's communism versus capitalism from the 1960s and 70s is the Mandarin versus Iron Man.
All right then.
And the MCU has been terrified of doing this because of, again, racial stuff, bringing in magic, um, and so they knew that they needed to adapt the Mandarin because he's essentially Iron Man's Joker. He's his arch enemy, his great nemesis. And so they wanted to adapt it. And they chose this method. And it was just kind of a shitty decision. Pardon my
Yeah.
language. It just was not good. And there's so, like I said, there's so many things about this movie that are good, that are coming from a really good and interesting place, that make the movie stand out and narratively and character wise. But then the entire actual villain situation of the movie is such a huge letdown, especially since they actually changed part of the main villain during production. So the whole thing was just kind of a mess.
Yeah. Okay. So before, really quickly, and then we'll get going because we got tons of time on this movie to talk. But
We
I don't.
does.
Have we ever talked about his brain just went out of my head? The like evil Marvel guy that basically acts
Bob
and
Iger?
like, no. The guy, the other guy who basically said no,
Oh, Ike
like,
Perlmutter.
yes, no black or female led things could ever succeed, and so he really, I mean, there's a lot of isms thrown at people these days that I think is just smoke. But from everything I've read, his
No.
his are deserved, right?
Yes, Ike Perlmutter. Dude was a moron. He was a. Actually, you know what? Calling him a moron isn't fair. He
He's
wasn't a moron. What he was a dinosaur.
Yeah.
He's sitting there, like I said, the big one being no female-led things, no black-led things. They're not going to sell with the audiences that he wants, which isn't necessarily okay. This is going to get into some places. I'm just.
You're gonna go. You're gonna. I know where you're
going. You might not. No. China. He wanted to sell to China.
Yeah.
And this movie is part of that because there's an entire other version of this movie. That exists with a bunch of added scenes that give a whole subplot involving actors that are famous in China. And Bob Iger, I keep on saying Bob Iger. Ike Perlmutter wanted to get that lucrative Chinese market, which is probably one of the reasons this movie reached $1.2 billion in sales. And famously, Chinese markets don't like black-led movies, and one of the reasons why they cut down on the character of Finn in all of the marketing and eventual production of the Star Wars sequel series and things like that. And they don't like movies that are led by foreign women. They actually do like some female-led movies as long as it is led by Asian actresses.
Oh yeah.
And
you've gotten Michelle Yeoh or somebody.
Yeah, and there's just he was going for that sweet China money, and the result is that they because this movie is based on a comic book run called Extremis. People call it Extremis or Extremis. No, it's Extremis, and they completely changed the villain. Aldrich Killian is a character in that for like 3 pages. And the other character, her name went right out of my head.
It's Rebecca Hall's character, right?
Rebecca Hall's character was the villain of the whole thing, and they changed it. Bob Iger specifically said, Bob Iger, damn it. That guy, Perlmutter. How do I forget the name Perlmutter?
He
specifically said that she wouldn't sell toys.
It's so hilarious because
that was his excuse.
Yeah. And it's so funny because on one hand, and I, this is what I was like, so you kind of went there. I was just like, I say this, I wish it was more of a joke. But the idea is so weirdly popular in certain parts of the internet and social media that only white Western people are capable of being racists, and mostly of them are Americans. And it's like, no, that exists in every culture. Sorry, hate to burst your bubble. Americans can definitely be racists, but so can every other culture on planet Earth. Sorry about that. But
I will fight to the death, and I have historical proof on this, that the single most racist nation on the face of the earth is and always has been Japan. Fight me.
I know
they wouldn't even allow people onto the mainland of Japan until the early 1900s, late 1800s, and anybody that had to come through a special port that was almost like Venice. It was built off the shore because they weren't allowed to come onto the actual land.
Yeah. I do know some of the history you're talking about, and it would definitely, without going deeply into it, which we of course are not going to do in this podcast, but it's definitely in the running as far as I know. But beyond that, I don't know enough to confirm or deny. But it's just one of those things that's always like, whenever I see that conversation pop up online, I'm just like, oh my gosh, people, get outside your bubble just a tiny bit. Maybe crack open a history book. Not saying America has done some crap, but if that's as far as you ever got because it's all you cared to know, shut up. Anyways, it's funny though, because this movie absolutely was riding the tsunami that was both Avengers and specifically Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, because he emerged, as such. I mean, obviously the first Iron Man film was a huge success. Second Iron Man film, despite its issues, was still, a successful movie. And then Avengers, because it was either Caravan of Garbage or one of the other people I was watching that said this. I don't want to take credit for it, but basically that Robert Downey Jr., his portrayal of Iron Man is so much more powerful than almost any of the individual films about him. He's bigger than them, and it's one of those rare situations where, he's not that all of his movies are bad. Most of them are actually, solid, if not great, but he still is bigger than even the best ones. And this movie rode that. And it's always funny to me when it's like I want to ask anybody who would say like, well, we can't do that because you think people are coming to this movie to see the villain? This isn't Dark Knight. This is Robert Downey Jr. the year after Avengers. Are you stupid? That's why 99% of people are going to see this movie. And I would love to see a comparison of any version of Iron Man as a toy compared to anything else out of this movie. And I'm guessing it's like 1,000-to-1 sales ratio or something like that, right? It's just,
Yeah.
And I'm saying that without any actual in-depth knowledge. That's just off the top of my head. And I'm pretty confident that I'm close. So, anyway.
Yeah, I completely agree. The idea of making it off of toy sales, I genuinely believe the toy sales thing, when it came to Rebecca Hall's character, was BS to cover, just like he wanted it to be more acceptable to foreign audiences. And I think that we should get started here, because it's a moderately long movie. But this whole thing, it's not about the villains. This could have been a movie that was about the villains. They could have done something really interesting here, but like you said, it wasn't written about the villains. It was written to be a showcase for Tony Stark and for Robert Downey Jr.
And I think that the strongest parts of this movie are him. I mean, to be fair.
And
not everything's great. He does, as movie characters do. He makes a few stupid decisions that are kind of interesting. But, man, Robert Downey Jr.
No, man, you just don't get it.
I was going to say, he is, I know this is like such a hot take, right? He's not just a good actor. He is a very good actor. But he is so made for this role. It is, whenever we finally reboot the whole MCU with new actors, which will absolutely happen in our lifetime, we'll probably be give it another 10, 15 years. It's going to happen. I
7.
Envy, maybe. I envy the people who have to pick up that torch, because, it's just, it got bigger than just the character on the screen. It's there's only a handful of actors tied to characters in the history of all of the cinema that are probably in the same category. I mean, it's probably 10 or less that I would put in the same category. So it's it's a big part of why any of his performances work, because it's just they marry together so well. So, anyways, I don't believe there's any alternate cut of this movie, right? It's just the one theatrical.
Well, technically there is. So one of the
theatrical. That's right, the Chinese version. Go ahead. Yeah,
there is the Chinese version. Also, there might be some differentiations regarding the beginning with Marvel and Paramount logos. So there may be a couple seconds differences depending on if you have like a DVD, Blu-ray versus the modern streaming.
My Blu-ray of this does start with Marvel, but here on Disney Plus, not with Marvel, with Paramount. I'm 99% sure here on Disney Plus, where we're watching it, it just jumps right to Disney and then Marvel, right? Yeah.
It still has the Paramount, but again, the logos have been slightly moved around.
Oh, okay. Wow. They kept it. I guess that's probably a legal thing, right? You can't get rid of.
Very much so.
Yeah. Well, one day all these studios will be owned by one company, so then that'll really cease to be an issue.
Amazon.
Well, yeah, never mind. I was about ready to start talking again. Let's get ready to hit that play button. We're gonna hit it in 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, I just was thinking about the the whole Netflix Warner Brother thing and Disney and Fox, and just the consolidation of creative properties.
Yeah.
This is a heck of an opening.
Did you know that Netflix actually, a report was leaked, a legitimate one, that revealed that they were actually putting together a strategy. It was just kind of a what if, like, because if they could actually do it and hope to see profits for potentially buying Disney.
I mean,
isn't that nuts?
It is nuts. Sorry, I do want to talk about this for just a second. Although I do love the musical callback here, by the way, because I remember when this song was so big. But the promise of streaming at the beginning when Netflix was getting going was like, okay, I can, this cable BS, I can just, sign up for one, maybe two at the most services and get, 99% of what I want to watch. And then, of course, everybody wants to get into it and make money. And so it becomes just another version of cable where you got to pay $100 a month to have access. And so part of me is like, I want the dream back. I want to pay two subscriptions and have everything, just on like a personal, selfish level. But I also like, that's kind of horrifying on a monopolistic slash
Yeah.
consolidation of
I
power.
mean, at
So
this
it's
point, I am only paying for three,
yeah.
and have access to almost everything. But
Well, the
looking
difference.
at this movie here, though, this is one of the places that was greatly expanded on in the Chinese cut, and you can see some of the actors if you know Chinese actors in the background.
Yeah.
You have this whole thing. They specifically set this in Bern because it was mentioned in the first Iron Man by the character of Yinsen, his kind of mentor character in the cave that they met briefly at a conference in Bern, and that's why he's in this scene.
Actually,
And
I love that
yeah.
they tied that back to him. I think it was just one of
Oh
those.
yeah.
It was one of the best choices this movie made to take that one line and just that connection back to Tony. And I also really appreciated that they gave you just a little glimpse of kind of OG Tony Stark. Like Iron Man 1 at the beginning, Tony Stark, because it's
Yeah,
just the
absolute
reminder of
dickhead
kind of
Tony
where he
Stark.
came from.
And they have a couple things. The there's so much about this scene that you can dissect. I would just want to just blather on about it. One of the things is anybody who has read Marvel Comics knows AIM, Advanced Idea Mechanics. They are an offshoot of Hydra. They are evil as hell, nasty, like super science, super villain incorporated, led by the character of MODOK, who was absolutely butchered in the movie Ant-Man Quantumania, the mechanized organism designed only for killing MODOK. And so, you're watching this movie, you're like, oh my god, it's AIM. You know that they're going to be the bad guy. Um, and yeah, you have Happy here, who's very obviously putting his
Pulp Fiction.
style after Vincent Vega from Pulp Fiction. Yeah. Yeah. Rebecca Hall
She's
is the actress here.
yeah.
I
It's
didn't do
set
the
to because
details.
they
Oh my
had some
God.
genuine like chemistry too. I feel like in this film, it was
Mhm.
Don't
Which, okay,
go
here's
ahead.
one of the things that's kind of terrifying, okay?
Oh my gosh,
So, no, terrifying in a quotes, okay?
John
So,
Favreau was
if
genuinely
you,
funny. By the way, go ahead.
okay, so if you take her character in this, if you were to have her age in 2013 and then dial it back to 1995, she would be 17.
Yeah,
So obviously the character is supposed to be older than the actress. Um, yeah.
it's this whole like beginning the setup though. Like this is one of the stronger points of the movie. I feel like this entire setup because you're kind of going back. You're getting a little flashback of him. It's a great little tease about the project. You genuinely feel for Guy Pearce's character. You're just remembering kind of just what an absolute you know dick Tony Stark was, and it's
Yeah.
anyways it's a good prologue.
Oh, very good. Because, like, at this point, when the movie was first coming out, the whole thing about Tony creating his own villains throughout and people just being mad at Tony for his dickishness wasn't overused. Because over the next few years, we were going to get Age of Ultron, Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man Far From Home, a couple of others even. Uh, Even Shang-Chi to an extent, where everything comes back to Tony Stark making enemies and being a dick, and that's the source of all the villains.
I love the
So
dunce
it was
cap.
still a little bit fresh, and they do so good with like this. This is poor Guy Pearce. He's this ugly, greasy nerd, and he's having all these problems. And this was going to be his big break. This was the one chance he had. And later in the movie, they actually have that great line of Tony Stark gave him the one thing he absolutely needed to succeed, which was desperation.
Yeah. I do. Okay.
This is an important moment with him mentioning that it's the Mark 42, which,
Yeah.
if you paid attention in Avengers, which came out a year earlier than this, you would know that his most up-to-date model was the Mark 7. So he's been busy.
Here we go. Christmas. We're got Christmas carols
On
going.
one horse open sleigh.
Yeah.
The director here, Shane Black, because we didn't go over details because we were too busy talking about crap. This is directed by a gentleman by the name of Shane Black. It is not directed by Jon Favreau like the previous two. Many people believe it's because he was wanted to work on other projects. Others believed that he was just burnt out after the unfortunately awful experience that was Iron Man 2. But he did get into producing for Marvel and Disney, and that did him very well in the end. And Shane Black, known for things like Lethal Weapon and Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, was a natural choice, especially since him and Robert Downey Jr. were friends. But he sets so many of his movies at Christmas time.
He really does. I will say too. I mean, yeah, I know he the groin shot. They really do love beating Tony Stark up with his own armor. I mean, this whole sequence, it is a fun callback to kind of just the vibe of the first movie with him down in this workshop, doing work. And, just here, we got this great little, this good little sequence.
This is the most over-the-top masking, though. It's so dumb. But it's great.
It is. It's over the top, but it's like, hey, you kind of like it. It's nailed in the ass.
You also notice that he actually hurt himself. He suddenly has a cut on his lip after that. And the whole thing is that his armor is hurting him. Though there is a slight blooper in that it disappears during his conversation with Rhodey in a couple scenes.
Yeah. So Shane Black is somebody who, I'm trying to think of another, like a good analogy, but he's an undeniably talented guy, but he also has some real limitations that kind of pop up when he's given too much leash. Because, like, Lethal Weapon, yeah, he did write it, and it's a good script. But Lethal Weapon's one of those, too, where I would argue that without the charisma of the actors, Danny Glover and Mel Gibson, and the direction of Richard Donner, that script, could have easily been a very forgettable film without the other elements that he had nothing to do with. So it's not just him, And, he had a little bit of credit on the first Predator. He helped a little bit with the writing, and, he had a, memorable but short-lived character. And Kiss Kiss Bang Bang, which I have seen 2 or 3 times actually, is a perfectly fun little, noir romp comedy thing, He's overrated. And I'm sorry, anybody who's just like, he's not some hack. I would not, even begin to call him that, but he's also not nearly as good as people give him credit for. At least that's my opinion. I'm curious what you think, though.
No, I agree, because the fact is, I haven't seen a movie by Shane Black that I was truly blown away by. I think that he is an excellent writer and a mediocre director. Mediocre is even generous. After The Predator. The Predator was just so damn bad. I think that his directing in this was competent.
Yeah.
But the movie itself is a mess, narratively speaking.
Well, I would argue that in this movie, too, he had at this point, a really established system to help him. Imagine this film without, kind of the Marvel machine at this point, and a guy like Robert Downey Jr. and still having Jon Favreau around and, as a producer. And he had a lot of help, I guess is what I'm saying. And so, I think that Predator was an example of when you let him loose. Okay, here's a weird comparison. I'm not saying that they're like the same, but Taika Waititi. I can't pronounce
Taika Waititi.
I thought
somebody
you were
else say Zack Snyder or Michael Bay.
Well, I was going to use Taika because one, they're both kind of connected to the MCU, but somebody who, when he has a good support system, can do some cool stuff, but when he's left to himself, really gets in his own way.
Yeah. This is one of those things that works really well about the movie. The relationship between Rhodey and Tony Stark. The whole thing of him dealing with the trauma of the first Avengers movie. which it works. I'm not a big fan of the overuse of trauma that's happened in like the last 10 years, and it's like a huge buzzword these days. Um, and oh, this
It's just a good
I
line.
loved you in A Christmas Story.
It's just a
Well,
funny
well,
line.
it's also funny because that character, or that actor who played his
He's
character in A Christmas
yeah.
Story, who played Ralphie, was in the first one and is a major part of the story in Spider-Man: Far From Home.
Isn't he also like a
So
producer or
it's,
something?
I think so. That sounds right.
Yeah, I think he's like he got into producing or something. But yeah, yeah. No, I like the idea of Tony dealing with this for sure. I do think that the way it's portrayed is a little over the top. Like it's just so easy to be like I don't know the panic attack, and like your beautiful wife could speak to this way better than me. But kind of how panic attacks are portrayed in film. I don't know.
Yeah.
They always seem a little over the top to me, and maybe that's my ignorance because I never suffered from one, so I don't want to speak with any kind of knowledge or authority. But they always seem very like soap opera-y in film.
Some of them are, some of them do. I've been around several people who have been experiencing panic attacks, some of which are even post-traumatic stress disorder related panic attacks. Um, I had a buddy of mine who was a combat vet. He had a little bit too much to drink, fell asleep in the back of my car as I'm driving him home, and he has a panic attack. And they can be intense. And I think that this is a decent enough portrayal. The dizziness, disorientation, tunnel vision, thinking that there's something medically wrong with him. He gets into the suit, scans himself, all that stuff. I actually think that's something that's fairly well done and
Okay.
not as over the top as it could have been.
I'm glad to hear that because again, I don't know. It's just, uh,
Yeah.
you know, John
John
Favreau.
Favreau's role in this is great.
Oh, he is like a fun actor. Like he's actually like I think he's not underrated because I don't think anybody considers him to be like bad because he doesn't push it. He kind of understands his strengths and just has fun with it. But I almost wonder if he just enjoyed getting to relax a little bit on this movie.
He said so in several interviews. I can't sit here and absolutely say that he did, maybe it was just kind of press tour stuff, but he said that he enjoyed just being able to play a fun character. He got to put a lot of his own stuff in it. Because Shane Black supposedly respected his desires or his expertise on the character and how the movie should be made. So stuff like his obsession with security lanyards, his love of Downton Abbey that's present in this. He kind of knew how the character would react to this stuff and was able to put that in there. And I like that. I appreciate it. I recently actually saw I'm not a big fan of the show Friends, but my wife likes it and she'll watch it and repeat. I didn't know that he was actually in that.
And a
Like
couple
every
episodes
other
guest stars.
actor from the 90s.
Yeah,
He
Rich.
dated the character
Monica's
of Monica
boyfriend.
for a while.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He got the UFC or something. I remember.
Yeah, early UFC stuff.
Yeah. So right there we had one of the other guys, James Badge Dale, I think is the actor's name.
Yes.
James Badge.
Well,
Plays.
close to that.
Okay, it was funny because I remember him. He was Jack Bauer's partner
What's
in
that?
season 3 of 24, and he
Oh
also
yeah, he got his arm cut off.
yeah cut off his hand at the end to get his hand into because it had the chemical weapon
It
thing
had a
attached to
virus,
it.
a chemical weapon
Yeah.
connected to it, so he had to cut off the hand, get the thing off, and
Throw it
stick
in a
it in
vending
a
machine.
fridge. I think.
Fridges. And then he also he was in he had a turn in The Pacific, which was that follow up to Band of Brothers. It said in the HBO miniseries.
Yeah, the Pacific.
Yeah, it's one of the Marines
He
there.
was also in 13 Hours. I remember him in that.
Yeah, he was one of
One of
the
the SEALs.
spec op guys. Yeah, his career never took off, but he's he's not horrible. This is probably one of the biggest film appearances he had, as far as like a big profile movie. But
Yeah.
here, okay, I do think this is a weird talk about fashion on this show. But Guy Pearce, his suit, I always thought it was such an interesting it's like he looks good compared to the nerdy version from the 90s, but it's like that weird, like he's trying too hard, like it's overly patterned, and he's got like the loafers on with like the pants that are showing like a weird amount of ankle. Like it's just this odd amount of it's just weird. I don't know.
Was that the style at the time?
I don't know, but you're looking at the suits that Tony wears, right? And
Hmm.
granted, Robert Downey Jr. is usually wearing lifts. Um, he's in the Tom Cruise Club, right? But they know how to
Yeah,
pull off a classic black suit, right? And
yeah.
whenever somebody pulls out the suit that's all over the place, like with patterns and colors and weird shoes, it's just like, all right, dude, you're trying too hard.
Yeah, I think they were just trying to kind of set him apart, make him look a little bit more like an Oxford professor. It has a little bit of that, checkered pattern to it.
He's not a blonde with a big rack, his big brain. You got to turn. So okay. What do you think of the idea that Happy is like your mom with an iPad? Not your mom specifically, but Superman's mom from
Oh
from
yeah,
Superman,
from
right?
yeah, because yeah. Um,
I do think it's weird that the close personal friend of Tony Stark would be that inept with a freaking tablet.
well, yeah, I could see that. This was a really interesting time though, because this is when it was very obvious that there was no going back from the smartphone. And tablet and stuff like that. So you kind of had this where's technology going to go next? It's like, ooh, he's got the tablet. He's got that little um funny version of a phone that Stark is holding, right? And so the technology in this is strangely antiquated already, Um and I had a better point, but my words aren't wording. Um, it sits in a really weird spot when it comes to tablet and cell phone technology in comparison to most other major movies because they're trying to think of how somebody from with a futuristic brain would handle it.
Well, everything's gonna be transparent, right? That's what every movie's been telling us for 15 years.
Yeah, we
That
we still haven't gotten there.
yeah, the
It's really
transparent tech
hard to
is
do.
it is. Well, it's really hard to hide it all. Um,
Yeah,
yeah. What do you think of
and the hard light isn't quite there yet.
what do you think of Gwyneth Paltrow's just turn in this film? Because I think this was they really tried to give her something to do, but it's interesting
Mhm.
because where this movie kind of ends up, and then how, because where things go on from here, where she's referenced in Civil War and Age of Ultron, but then just randomly pops back up. It's did they keep intending to actually have their relationship go through more development, or did they always intend for
Um,
all of it to happen off screen, where they break up and get back together, and all of it is referenced in 3 or 4 sentences throughout phase 2 and 3, right?
So Age of Ultron, they reference her, but they don't have it so that they broke up or anything like that. They just reference her in a way that, oh, she's annoyed that he's making armor again and he doesn't want him to be Iron Man anymore. Because one of the things that's a problem about this movie is that literally every bit of character development that they deal with in it,
Okay.
they go back on,
T-
because they
tell me those
were,
arms don't look like
sorry.
boobs. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Totally
those,
derailing
those
your.
are breasts.
I'm sorry. It's just I was like, what? Who designed that thing?
Right?
Sorry.
Um,
Go back to what you're talking about
but
with.
they undo most of the character development in this movie because they didn't know if Robert Downey Jr. was going to be coming back. They weren't sure if his price was going to be too high to continue. So this was, in theory, the end of Tony Stark's story entirely. And so this was the happy ending. They kept that happy ending up through Age of Ultron. It was in Civil War that they have them so that they break up off screen, and then by the time of Spider-Man: Homecoming, they're back together. And the entirely the entire reason why they did that is because they needed to have Tony Stark in a one. They probably couldn't afford to have Gwyneth Paltrow back because the movie already had so many people in it. And then they also wanted to put Tony Stark into a position of extreme emotional vulnerability. So, what's the best way to do that? Make him having him go through a rough spot with his fiance. Um, so I get it. It's annoying.
Yeah. One thing I'm glad. Okay, sorry, I'm pivoting here. I'm glad that they did throw the little bit in there that he's trying to keep himself in shape. He's got his little what martial arts style uses like the pole with the stick thing, like Wu Chung or something like that.
Was something like that.
But because he spends a lot of time out of the suit, including some combat stuff out of the suit, and it was just a little bit where they at least showed that he's been working on it. Maybe Cap inspired him a little bit, maybe.
Yeah, and his own, and Iron Man too. I think he knows that he can't just rely on his tech. He needs to be competent in his own fighting style for self-defense.
Yeah, and I really like the so the sculpture, by the way, beside Pepper, is that supposed to be like remnants from like Iron Man 2, like the cars and stuff, just like as a reminder?
As a matter of fact, that's exactly what it is. They actually got some props back from that movie, and they turned it into an art sculpture that he keeps. It is made up of those F1 cars.
By the way, his headpiece, I think I wore that for Mass Effect 2 and 3 to get extra headshot damage.
Dude, okay, yes.
Sorry.
One thing that I was going to point out, all right? This is the only movie in which Tony Stark has a different facial hairstyle.
Yeah, he
has a chin strap.
He does. Well, it gives him a jawline, right? And just,
right?
I mean, Robert Downey Jr. is a very he's in shape, like no shade, but it is funny, especially the connection up to his mustache.
Yeah. Oh God, I have the hiccups. No.
So what I was going to say though is the themes, and this is where like Tony Stark's the best part of this film, and I really like the stuff with like Don Cheadle and their chemistry really shines through in this film. But
yeah,
the idea of especially following up from his, and I want to help you with the hiccups on our podcast. I think about the conversation, that famous confrontation that Cap and Tony had on the helicarrier. It just like, take the suit away and what are you? And Tony's very he gives a cocky answer, but there is some very like the old Captain Kirk double-fisted hit there.
Well, it's an interesting thing because that's actually something the Captain Kirk double fist. He's not just hitting it. That's actually a deactivation command that would be a gesture that wouldn't be done by accident.
Yeah, it makes sense. I was pointed out in a YouTube video, and I'm like, I wonder if that was intentional because that was a very like Captain Kirk definitely used that move on a Gorn.
Yes, he did.
But what I was gonna say is the idea that Tony Stark kind of takes it to heart. The idea of like, what really am I without the suit, and has to kind of deal with that.
Which is then followed up on in Spider-Man Homecoming.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you're nothing without the suit, then you don't deserve to have it.
Yeah.
And one of my favorite things about this movie is that it is Superman. It is Iron Man without all of his toys at one point. And I love that. I think it's great. I would love to see a Batman movie or something where he gets cut off from the Batcave and doesn't have access to his money. Maybe it's a natural disaster or something like that, and he has to get through like the most dangerous parts of Gotham or something without any of his gadgets, or with the meager gadgets that he keeps on him. And it could be so much fun, And that's what this movie is able to deliver in a great way.
Yeah. You need a good adaptation at No Man's Land.
Oh, yes we do. Yes we do.
Yeah.
Again, once again, I'll go back to my previous pitch as a Batman TV show that's necessary. 8 seasons.
It's interesting here. Okay, go ahead.
No, continue.
No. So there's this, it's interesting that we have, it's a good hit there. Because Hogan was like an amateur boxer in the comic books, right?
Not just amateur. He was like a pro.
Oh, okay.
Depending on the version.
Ooh, I do like the Extremis, the effect. The special effect. It's cool.
Yeah, and they go on to reuse it actually a lot in the TV show, the greatly underrated, though still occasionally very corny TV show, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Extremis actually plays a significant part um, in the plot line actually through the first few seasons.
One, it makes sense because it's the kind of thing that people who never saw that show, and other than the first few episodes, I never did either. But this is one of those texts where you're like, why would this not be a followed up on with Shield or the U.S. government? I mean, this technology is out there, right? I mean, it's, the idea that it's completely gone is obviously absurd because nothing ever truly gets completely. The idea that something's everything's deleted, everything's gone, everybody who knows about it's dead. That is really hard to do. But
Yeah.
that this is the kind of thing that would have been. Can you imagine? What parts of the U.S. government would have, especially considering how easily it took out Tony's suits and the idea of this was soldiers. I mean, this is the kind of thing that would give Cap a run for his money. Easily to the super soldier serum.
Yeah.
But it's just never mentioned again in the movies.
Nope. But it is one of the things that's greatly used in Agents of Shield. They have it combined with a couple of other things from other movies, and it's used as kind of like a temporary super soldier serum almost, and it causes problems for everybody. It's called the centipede.
It looks like it might have a glitch or two, as the scene we just watched shows.
Shockingly enough.
Yeah. Okay, this whole thing.
These
Go ahead.
Yeah, these are great. The voice is really good.
Yeah. I mean, I know that again, this is very common knowledge, especially, but I mean, can we talk about just Ben Kingsley as an actor for a minute? Because he's just like he's one of those guys. He's in that same category as like Anthony Hopkins, where despite being in plenty of movies that are like, really, what were you just needed to get paid? What's going on? That he's just such a phenomenal actor. It's kind of insane sometimes to watch him do his thing, because he's just on a level that makes most of your regular TV actors just seem like high school theater projects.
I don't know, man. I saw Gandhi, I saw Schindler's List, but everything else I've seen him in, outside of like this and Shang-Chi, kind of been shit. I remember him from the movie Dave from 1993. Did you ever see Dave?
No.
Oh, dude. Okay, so that is one of those like Kevin Kline, Sigourney Weaver, Frank Langella, Ving Rhames, and Ben Kingsley. Okay, um, it's a movie where the president has a terrible stroke while in bed with a staffer, and while he's doing some illegal stuff, and they find a used car salesman who is a perfect lookalike for him, and so they pose him as the president until they can get somebody else elected. And it's this comedy, and he's in that as the vice president, and he's kind of a bad guy and causes all these problems. But I remember him from that. But then you go watch something like Species? The first thing I ever saw him in, okay, was this movie called Blood Rain, which was an Uwe Boll movie, but I knew that it was a video game about vampires, and I was like 13, and so I'm like, I want to watch this. And it was one of the worst things I've ever seen. And then, I mean, what else has he really been in that's worth mentioning? I mean,
I don't know off the top of my head. I would have to look it up.
The Love Guru? Are you gonna talk about what Shutter Island or Hugo? Noah? Like he was in Ender's Game as Mazer Rackham, which was good casting, and that movie is actually better than people give it credit for, especially as a hardcore Ender's Game fan. But fact is, he does a lot of just shitty movie. Prince of Persia, The Sands of Time.
Yeah. Well, I don't
know. I don't like him.
No, that's fine. That's fine. I think that he's somebody who, when he, and I've never read any or seen an interview with him that would speak to this. I think that he's somebody who quite often is just working because he just doesn't care that much. But he also, when he has a project he cares about, I think he's on that top tier level for me. I think his best performances show that. But it's fine. It's it's something that is low on my list of hills to die on.
I don't think he's a bad actor at all. I just don't think he's all that special.
Where I guess this is just like an acceptance of like, okay, so this is like he imported this from all of the crime scene photos, and they like put it all together.
He kind of did a person of interest. He's got the machine on his side,
Yeah.
cell phone data, tablets, security cameras, and he's recreating the crime scene, Batman Arkham style.
Yeah. It's interesting that it's on his floor versus him standing and kind of being projected up in front of him. Like that's, just the difference of, just making it different, I guess, because, he's like sitting up on top of his toolbox. It's kind of a fun little,
Well, it speaks to his eccentricity. He sees the world a little bit different than other people, and that's part of what makes him special. You'll see that happens in a lot of movies and TV shows and stuff like that. In order to show a character mulling over things, one, it helps the audience, but two, it also sets the character apart. You'll have the normal person who's looking at photos on a desk or setting it up on like a board, but then you have the savant, the special one, and they'll do it differently.
yeah.
They'll do it in an odd way, So I always like it. It's one of those tropes that I'm like, yeah, I dig this.
Okay, what did okay, so he acknowledges out loud there, we just threatened a terrorist, we're supposed to be on full security lockdown. What does that actually entail? Because it
I know, right?
It doesn't entail anything as far as I can tell. If he's got that many suits sitting in his basement.
No, that's one of the plot holes in this movie that just doesn't make sense. No matter
3
how
helicopters.
Much you don't get it, it will never make sense.
No, there's no way.
This is a bad part of the movie.
Yeah, there's no way that 3 totally average, whatever, helicopters with some, surplus Miltech, tossed on them. Sorry, that rabbit just kills me. Just like, sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. It's just it's stupid. It's just one of those where I like his character and how it is portrayed in this film for the most part. But this is one of those like I don't mind the idea of just in kind of a fit of rage, telling the villain basically like come get me like that I totally like.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's fine. A lot of people like he made such a stupid decision. Fine, stupid decisions are good for characters, but how he handles it is inconsistent with his characterization so far.
And you could have had, you could have absolutely had something where, and again, you would have established how dangerous AIM is if you had a like active patrol of suits or something. I know that you wanted to save the big reveal of all the suits for the end, and that's fine. You could have
How
a
about
couple
some shutters on the windows.
Yeah, that or just like do like I know they did it in Age of Ultron, but just like some generic kind of the Iron Legion type just generic whatever.
Like patrol robots,
something,
or the barn door protocol from Endgame.
And the idea here that like her looking at the TV, Jarvis isn't like Mr. Stark, like there should have been something like Jarvis blinking at him in the background, or you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Like, why doesn't he have metal shutters over the windows right now? Because that would make sense for him to have. I do like this though, and his first this is part of that really good characterization.
Yeah.
Where his first instinct in this situation isn't to save himself, it's to send the armor to take care of Pepper.
Yeah.
That's great.
That is good.
Mm-hmm.
I hate this.
You see, what they could have done, because they already showed that there were helicopters around, right? They could have showed that they snuck up on him, okay?
Yeah,
that they
pretending to
were
be
news helicopters. Yeah. And I think that there's actually a part of that here, because if you looked at the side of the choppers, they have little acronyms on them that seem to imply that they were actually news choppers.
Yeah.
And apparently it's a little bit of an in-joke that for each Iron Man movie, his Malibu home gets a little bit more destroyed. So, like, the first one, there's some stuff that happens. He breaks the floor, things like that. The
he does it to himself.
He has that fight with Rhodey.
Yep.
And then the third one, it just goes to hell. Gwyneth Paltrow actually did get to wear the Iron Man suit. This is one of those times when some of it is CG, but a lot of it is actually practical in a few spots, and she was really excited to wear it.
Yeah, this. Oh yeah, and it's. I mean, it's cool, and like you said, it is the stealth thing of obviously that look. It's dressed up like a news chopper, but the
Mm-hmm.
wide shot. Sorry, I'm gonna harp on this one last time. The wide shot of the missile coming from like off screen almost. It's so far away, and it's just it makes Jarvis seem incompetent along with Tony Stark, and I'm almost as upset about Jarvis being shown as incompetent as I am about Tony Stark.
Right? Love Jarvis.
He is great, and Paul
Man, Paul
Bettany was
Bettany.
so good as his voice.
Yeah. And
Okay,
I love Paul Bettany's vision also. The fact that we're getting a Vision Quest TV series is one of my favorite things, and I wish that they had had more of him. The WandaVision show with him as Vision is just the best. His scenes in that, especially like him playing off of all people, Kat Dennings, was so good. Um, yeah.
okay.
It-
This isn't okay. I I guess it was just the way it was designed. The the toughness, for lack of better terms, of this suit. It's like an interesting, like the I know it's like a gag, but like how
mhm.
easily the suit just like disintegrates, but then is also like a functional suit. I don't know. It's an interesting. I feel like they went maybe just tipped over the edge of it being like a gag, because this suit is shown to be like it's like what's holding it together if it pops apart like it's a a pinata when it gets hit just right.
Magnets.
Magnets. Aw.
Yeah. Poor Dummy.
It's yeah. The
Like, I love that they brought Dummy back at the end of the
oh yeah,
movie because otherwise that would be just so sad.
it would be sad. All of his
Um,
cars, all of his stuff.
yeah, because there it goes. Bye, Dummy.
Yep. Aw.
But the suit itself, they have the gag of it uh falling apart and like hitting things and disabling and all this stuff.
Yeah. And
Uh,
this suit can't
but I don't know.
fly with him
I
in it,
like it. I
right?
think it kind of works, you know?
Yeah. I do like
But
the I
okay, this special effects is incredible.
yes.
Like the
This is
physics renders here and the simulations that they've got going.
what's some of
This
the
is
best
genuinely
underwater
some of the best special effects.
it's yeah, some of the best underwater stuff specifically, I feel like. Water is
Mm-hmm.
hard to do. This was what, 2013, right?
13.
So this would have been what, right after the first Avatar?
Yeah, about 4 years after the first Avatar,
Okay, so
so
like,
production would have been about 3 years after.
but I mean, I'm just yeah, it's oh, the bunny. That water is still very much a work in
Oh
progress,
my
right?
god, I never noticed the bunny.
Yeah, the bunny was right there. It's all yeah.
Yeah.
I do appreciate the reality of the physics of concrete, that much concrete, that it's not something that you're just gonna like shove up and out of the way without any trouble.
Nope.
There,
Take a deep breath.
there is some genuine like okay, that would like wouldn't that okay? I'm trying to think of the help of like his like the joint and his arm right there that like pulled him out by his own hand, just like like crush his hand.
Yeah, that's a
Anyways.
little bit of an odd one for sure.
Yeah. So interesting here. The whole and I know Shane Black in interviews has said basically he wanted this get him by himself, right? He wanted them isolated. And
Mhm.
do you take it that he took off here and it was kind of an autopilot like Jarvis was flying? Like that's why he didn't just immediately go up to like where Pepper was. Like where was the suit taking him here? He was like unconscious. Like what are the story reasons? I guess here.
I would guess that it was taking him to Rhodey or Avengers Tower.
Because I mean, he was in Malibu. Avengers Tower's in New York, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
that
If
Avengers
I was
Tower
going to be
makes
writing it
sense.
and had to explain that, it would be either to Rhodey or to Avengers Tower. That's how I'd do it anyway.
Here's a trailer shot.
Yeah, this was like the trailer. So this is how they began the trailer, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, Tennessee. So yeah. He must have been heading towards. Okay,
Not my idea.
I actually Okay, I had forgotten this. This is one of the reasons why I was happy to rewatch this, and I didn't want to rewatch it right away again because I like remembered enough of it. But I was like, I want to kind of enjoy this again because yeah, he actually does admit it there, which I'm glad. He's like, why are we going this way now? Jarvis doesn't answer him because he runs out
Oh
of
well,
power.
he said that he set the location because didn't he figure out in the map that it was something on the East Coast?
Oh, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's what it was.
I need to sleep, NASA.
I should have rewatched this before this.
But I mean, I'm glad that and I'm sorry, people who are watching, you're like, listening and thinking, man, bad podcasters who don't know the movie that well. Hey, I'm enjoying it with you. That's the whole point of this. You get our raw reactions. But
The entire
I'm
point
glad
of this is that it's like sitting on the couch next to us, and the fact is, we don't know crap sometimes.
we're just like, we're making this up as we go. I don't know. I'm making this up as I
You
go.
don't know Jack.
Oh, well.
Yeah,
Just a funny little, but yeah, I'm glad that Tony Stark at least admitted, like, why didn't I, go to Pepper? Like, what is going on there? Oh man.
And I love him hauling around the suit the whole time. That's just really funny to me.
Oh yeah. The rabbit's too big. There's still you have to like explain to kids what this is. This is a phone booth. You
It's
go
a
in,
payphone.
you put quarters in it, and you can make phone calls. But guess what? You need to remember the phone number.
It wasn't even quarters; it was nickels. And back in my day.
Oh gosh, no. So I do think that the chemistry that Robert Downey Jr. has with this kid is genuinely good.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think that at the time they really wanted to introduce mentorship. It was time for there to be that because none of the other superheroes were really doing the whole mentorship thing. And they wanted to begin something, maybe an Iron Lad, or another type of follow-up. And I think that they eventually took the storylines that they would have wanted to incorporate into him because at this time the character of Ironheart was still quite new. And they would then transfer all of that into Peter Parker. Though they do have this same actor appear again in the very end of Endgame as an adult at Tony Stark's funeral.
Yeah, I do think that it was not a shame. I won't put it that way because I mean, I like Homecoming actually quite a bit. It's a movie that I'll happily rewatch when we get to it. But I thought that this kid was good, and I wish they had given him, I don't know, some other chance. But like you said, I think that they didn't. They kind of wrapped up his solo movies here. Obviously, he appeared in Civil War, and then Age of Ultron, Civil War, and then Infinity War and Endgame. But finding, I don't know where and how you could have gotten this kid back in that would have made any kind of sense. So I get it. But
Ironheart, probably, if that show wasn't a complete steaming pile of crap.
I didn't even watch it, so I'm
Dude,
assuming.
Go watch some videos. Go watch like Phil Mento's breakdown of it, or Critical Drinker. It is genuinely just like, if you want to prove that the MCU is dying, She-Hulk is a work of art in comparison to Ironheart.
He broke his finger.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, there is something, this is a weird way to put it. There's something kind of in a funny way, an enduring nature to like an adult who's just obviously so bad with kids and just says like highly inappropriate things to him. Like this line coming up here. It's just like,
yeah.
It's so inappropriate, but it's just great. That is a very Shane Black type piece of dialogue though, right?
Yes, very much so. I also like that whole thing about him kind of anthropomorphizing his suit. Of like, no, stop that. He's in pain already, And that's something that I wish that they had dwelt on a little bit more. But I feel like it would have, like, kind of, it would have flown in the face of the actual ending of the movie when he chooses to destroy all of his suits, because if he talks about it like it's a friend, then he kills all of his friends at the end of the movie. But I love the idea of, because that's something that Tony Stark did in the comics several times, is that he thinks of his suits either as an extension of himself, but also as individuals with personalities. And he sees them almost like friends. And there's actually one rather infamous storyline when a suit's AI falls in love with him, and it causes all kinds of problems.
Actually, that's a thing. I did not know that was a.
Yeah,
I want to read that storyline.
it's. I don't think it was a very good one, to be honest.
It's a funny premise. Here's another
Yeah,
trailer
it
shot,
is a
right?
very funny premise. Yeah, that the cracked mask. It's always
Oh,
such a they reuse this same trope, and they reuse it quite well in Endgame with like his helmet recording a message for Pepper.
where's
Yeah.
this thing? Yeah, never mind. I was about to start talking about
And
batteries. It's all right.
one of the things that's interesting also is that for the brief moment when she puts that on, it implies that this is the Mark 7 from the Avengers, because you see the blue LEDs when it's open and she's putting it on her head,
Hmm.
because the only suit that was on was the one I just mentioned, the
Mark
Mark
7.
7,
Now
because
that
I
was
hated how all of Joss Whedon's ones glowed stupid.
he likes blue glow. It makes things look high tech.
Mhm.
Is that the first time we'd ever seen Pepper Potts in like kind of the helmet vision, like in the blackness? I think that's the first time, right?
Yes.
Actually,
No. You saw it briefly during the actual fight, I believe.
okay.
Mhm.
I feel like whoever. I mean, I'm assuming that was Favreau that came up with that, or maybe it was Stan Winston's shop back in Iron Man 1. But it was I mean, such a simple idea, but it just works so well to have kind of the head in the
Mhm.
void of just like a way to not lose the face of your actor while he's in the
Yeah.
suit.
The first time that was done was, to my knowledge, was the first Iron Man, and it was a very effective and never before seen method of doing so. And I remember that it was immediately copied by the TV show Stargate Atlantis.
Oh, did
The
they?
episodes with Daniel
Yeah,
Jackson
we're there in the
investigating
Asgard
the
armor, right?
Aesir.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that Asgard armored suit. I forgot about that. Wow. What's funny is I'm actually coming up on this episode in my rewatch with my daughter, so I'll have to look for that
Yeah.
again. Yeah, we're in season 4,
Yeah,
so
that lives rent free in my brain, mostly because they never
nice.
got to uh, like explore the Aesir because they canceled Stargate Atlantis too early.
It's
Bum,
interesting
bum,
because I feel like
bum.
if you pay attention to that scene right there, it is definitely strongly hinted. Like, wait a minute, that seems like I mean, granted, it's still
Mhm.
production, but
Mhm.
like he you're not entirely sure he's in charge. I don't know. It's I feel like they definitely, if you were paying attention, or especially in hindsight, it seems more obvious that he's not in charge there. Like he's just he's coming onto a set.
Absolutely. Um, that is one of those foreshadowing hindsight things, because watching it the first time, you're supposed to think, "Ooh, he's going to do something nasty, or he's meeting with somebody. What's going on here?" When we know, oh, it's because they're the ones controlling him. Yeah.
Is okay.
Um.
What do you think of the idea that he did randomly land this close to one of the incident points that he was looking for?
Oh no, this is where he was going. This is what he discovered in his investigations, which is why the suit took him here.
Oh, I missed that point.
Yeah, that was it. I knew that it wasn't just, oh, he's going to Avengers Tower. So I'm like, I could have sworn that there was something, but I was struggling. Yeah.
Because this is
Um,
the soldier that he found where it's like an incident that had the same signature, heat wise and everything, but
yeah.
doesn't shouldn't have been like connected somehow, right? That was what he was sitting up on his toolbox looking at. Yeah, it is
Correct.
interesting to see Tony Stark dressed up like a redneck a little bit. It's an interesting look.
Right? Especially with that chin strap. It really fits him.
Well, the AI having the redneck trucker hat on with his very like uh, elite coast beard going is an interesting combination for sure.
Right?
Oh
This whole
goodness.
thing about the people being bombs is something that I saw a lot. I mean, one of the things, actually, speaking of Stargate Atlantis, one of the most famous episodes of that was the episode Sunday, in which
Oh
the
yeah.
character of Carson Beckett died. and they go through an extremely similar investigative process as this movie. Um, Regarding like figuring out, oh, these explosions, this whole thing, this problem, the bombs are the people. It was tumors that were explosive, and yeah, it was interesting. And every time I see this movie, I think about that episode and other shows that have done something similar, and I'm like, I wonder if there were fans of similar TV shows as to the ones that I like, you know?
Yeah. I mean, talk about Sunday. That is, one of the better Stargate Atlantis episodes. Just, I mean, man, because Beckett's such a great character, and just that's one of those that's up there with the two-parter Heroes in SG1. That whenever I get to it in a rewatch, I'm just like, it's a good episode, but
It's
I'm
almost
not
like
looking
there's
forward
something
to
in
it.
common with killing doctors.
Yeah, yeah. Stargate really likes to kill its doctors.
Spoilers. Yeah.
I love that he still manages to like find a scarf.
Right? Um, this character comes right out of the comics as well. The Extremis comic series. She looks just like that. She's actually supposed to be the ex-wife of another character who was killed in one of the other arcs and stuff like that. And it's like this whole big story to her. And she has the scar and the red hair and everything.
One thing I'm happy about. Okay, one thing that happens a lot when you like go to like Middle America and you kind of go to like just some small town bar. I love the guy passed out in the back there. It's just like they still cast it full of like New York models in like Carhartt, and this one like it's actually like people that seem more normal in this bar. Like they did a better job casting, which I appreciate. Because I mean, Tony Stark should look out of place, even if he's wearing the right clothes in a bar like this, and it's just fun. I think that it's nice to see Tony see him just dig into a mystery a little bit here. I guess I like that. I feel like the movie kind of can drag a little bit here in the middle because the action is kind of slowed down a little bit. We're getting into just his trauma, and he's investigating, and there's not a big action sequence. I don't think until we get to the Air Force One sequence, if I'm remembering right. But
no, there's the action sequence with him fighting the Extremis soldiers.
Oh, that's right. I get to see, but it's I don't know. I like this stuff, and it's nice to see Tony just kind of working on figuring it out and piecing it together. And again, there's also some Shane Black is able to keep a little bit of the comedy beats, but not completely demolish the tone of the film. That was good right there.
It was. I like the way that this is handled because this sheriff isn't incompetent and he's not like just backing down in the face of it. She's got these phony badges. She's not doing things correctly, and he's not doing it stupid. I actually remember liking this portrayal. So poor guy goes down and
yeah.
But it's funny. It always stood out to me that actress that he's talking to, the mother there. It's an actress by the name of Dale Dickey. I remember looking her up with this because she's in everything. You pick like all these TV shows, things like X-Files and Gilmore Girls and Bones and Criminal Minds and a whole bunch of these other shows that I've seen growing up, ER and CSI and Frasier and whatnot. And she has a very memorable face. And whenever she's in things, it just kind of jumps out to me. Like she was in Fallout. She was a character in the first episode or second episode by the name of Ma June.
Was she like one of the invaders or something?
Very memorable in that. No, she was the merchant that the main character finds when she first encounters the ghoul.
Okay. Yeah. Okay, so in a fight like this, it's like is she just is she trying to kill him?
I don't know, because this is not, in my opinion, one of the better action sequences in the movie. Because this movie has really great action sequences. Yeah. It's one of its strengths. But this is not one of them. It's just kind of... I like that they're able to show him doing smart things. But it's not really enough, because she's being stupid.
That's I
She's
mean,
being
it's
flashy and
yeah,
kind of like incompetent.
yeah. Well, and it's one of those. How do you how do you? And this is a problem that's it's happened plenty of times in films. How do you make a fight between a villain who should and could kill the person they're fighting instantly
Hmm.
interesting,
Yeah.
while at the same time, because it's you usually this is how you do it, right? You kind of have a fight where it's like, oh, he barely can do it. Oh, it's clearly a mannequin.
Yeah.
Oh gosh. It's one of those where she could have so easily killed him, and I get the whole she just wants to toy with him, but maybe they're trying to go with the idea that these guys are all a little bit crazy because of the treatment they've gone through, and that's what's kind of making them unstable. But the trope of the incompetent villains, the henchmen that just are the bane of their employer's existence, and the only reason why they don't immediately solve the problem is because they're idiots that are
Mhm.
emotional, or just it's a trope that I get tired of.
Do you think that it's supposed to be like they want him alive? Is there reason to have they gone into that? Do they want him alive or do they just want to kill him?
Well, like this right here, I want my file. Like, what? I've never understood the whole the paper you're carrying is so important as like a plot device. It's just a weird, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like I he's like,
Yeah.
I want the file. It's like, just kill him and find it. Like, what do you?
Yeah. Loot his corpse.
Yeah, like what?
Like play this
It's
like an RPG.
it is. It's just villains acting weird.
Yeah.
I like the idea here that he
Um
doesn't just like spring. Yeah, again, it's such a weird combination here of Tony doing a good job, using his head, fighting smart, and then at the same
mhm.
time, just some dumb decisions and kind of, and not necessarily on his behalf. It's more just the villains. Just it's the version of it that this is another trope that I hate, where it's every cop that shows up is an absolute moron. So the one cop that is played by the big name actor can be shown to be amazing, and in order to make him amazing, every other, or like soldiers, right? The one ex special ops guy is he has to be shown to be so good that an entire SEAL team look like a bunch of chumps when they try to get him, and it's like, wait, okay, find a better way, because that's not how it happens.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm ranting.
I mean, no, I totally get you. That's also one of the things. I get needing to set up your heroes and all that stuff as being exceptional, but if you have any knowledge of actually how real it is, it will always bug you. I went to school and the previous semester, because we were living in Israel and we were told if you were in any type of altercation with the locals, you would immediately be sent home, no questions asked, no appeals, nothing. You're gone. And part of that was because this one guy who was a former military, he was actually a former Navy SEAL, and he got into a fight with some Palestinian kids, and there were only like four of them, and they kicked his ass. He kicked some of their asses back, mind you, but it's just like, three thugs that he got into an altercation with because he was being kind of an idiot. And it's just the way it happens. Um, Sometimes even the best, a lucky hit or
Oh yeah,
numbers, just take them down.
yeah. There's a reason why there are so many KIA in the special ops, because there's still just the randomness of battle, the chaos of there's a reason why they work so hard to control when and where they fight, because
Yeah.
as soon as it becomes a little more random, uh, a lot of your advantages disappear.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this actor who plays the president, I'm forgetting the actor's
Yep.
name, but he's got
Mhm.
some nerd cred, because I mean he was the head, Sloan in Section
Mm-hmm.
31 in DS9.
Yeah.
He
His
also
name's William Sadler.
William Sadler. He was the villain in Die Hard 2. I thought he was pretty memorable in Die Hard 2 as
You see,
the villain.
yeah. He was what the main thing I think of him is that he was a character in Shawshank Redemption. Um, he's the country guy who wants like Hank, whatever the heck his name is, music in the library. He was the Grim Reaper in Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey.
That's right.
Um, Dude is in everything. He showed up in several episodes of Agents of Shield, playing the same character of President Ellis. Um, I remember that much. I think he was in something else. What was it? Oh, Fringe. He was in the show Fringe. That was it.
Still
Uh,
need to watch that show.
Wait a second. Oh my God, I didn't know this. I'm looking at his IMDb page here. He was actually in the Pacific. He played Lieutenant Colonel Louis Chesty Puller, which, if you know anything about the Marine Corps history, Chesty Puller is like one of the most badass characters imaginable who actually existed. The dude was a machine. Terrifying machine.
I I recognize the name. I need to refresh my Pacific Theater
Yeah, do it.
history.
He's crazy.
Yeah, I do recognize the name as being somebody very notable. I forget exactly which one. He's got one of those great. He's got a memorable face. He's got a great kind of delivery of just being like, it's interesting because he plays kind of a kind of a sellout, kind of a wuss in this one. When so often he plays a very intimidating, very competent character. Like, I mean, again, going back to DS9, he was fantastic as Sloan when Section 31
but he
used to
also
actually be
looks
menacing.
right. He looks right for he looks right for playing the president in a situation like this.
Yeah. Okay, we got to talk about this scene a little bit because it's just fun.
Yeah. Well, okay, so Iron Patriot is actually one of those designs that, like, as a comic nerd, is one of the most perfect designs of translating from comic to film. The Iron Patriot armor wasn't actually Rhodey. It was actually when the Avengers got into some trouble following the Civil War storyline. Tony Stark was out, everybody was out, America wanted to rebuild them, and so they actually sell out to Oscorp, Norman Osborn from Spider-Man, and he takes over as like the Iron Man-like character. It's the Dark Avengers series, is what it's referred to as, and a bunch of these villains. Venom joins the Avengers as their kind of version of Spider-Man. What's that guy's name? Bullseye poses as Hawkeye, and they have several others, including like Wolverine's evil son poses as Wolverine and stuff like that. But the Iron Patriot was actually Norman Osborn.
Yeah, I know he was. Yeah, I feel like you got to have in an Iron Man film, at least one scene with women in bikinis.
Right,
Sorry.
it's absolutely necessary.
It is necessary. That scarf.
It's almost like
you're still sticking with that.
It's
scarf.
like having a racing scene with a bunch of women in booty shorts in a Fast and Furious movie.
It is, absolutely it is. Okay, I always thought it was. I mean, granted, it's played for gags, but I thought it was just a little bit crazy that his connection speed. That Iron Patriot is the phone ringing in his head and him talking. That like outside the suit, people can hear him. Like he wouldn't like mute that or something and just be there intimidatingly.
He just forgot,
Yeah.
So apparently this is like a known comedian. I don't know anything about him.
I heard that. I don't know anything about him either.
Yeah, I have no idea who this is.
Was he in the end of Avengers? Was he one of the guys in like the newsreel stuff at the end of Avengers also?
I don't think so.
Okay. Because this guy, he has like the tattoo, right? He's going to show him and...
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That part. I don't
pattern myself. This guy's just like... Oh, gosh.
Apparently this was based on some actual experiences some of the actors had.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I'm imagining, especially after Avengers, as much as we are fans, fans can be a little weird. Fans can technically take it a little bit too far. Those are out there. Yeah.
Crazy fans are crazy, and they're always going to be crazy.
Yeah, there's really no, I always wonder.
Have they shown the vice
actors,
president yet?
No, they haven't. Oh no, they did briefly when they did the scene where he called and the guy and Mandarin shot him anyways in the conference room or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that they identified him as the VP in that scene. I'm not entirely sure, But
Yeah, I think they do that a little bit later.
they definitely showed him because he's that the typical VP where you immediately know if you've seen any political thriller ever that VP's dirty. That's just
Mm-hmm.
that's like one of the tropes
Always gonna
of
be the
all
VP.
time for the American political system.
Was the VP dirty in? No, no, it wasn't the vice president because that was played by. Who was the dirty one? Was it the head of the Secret Service in Air Force One that was dirty?
Yes, the head of the Secret Service. Because
Yeah.
no, the VP was actually Glenn Close, and she was like stuck with the president. Like she was the one who like refused to
Yeah.
sign the article, whatever that took
Yeah,
his power
I
away.
remember that.
Yep. But the Secretary of Defense, played by, oh gosh, he was the hologram in Quantum Leap, and he's in Battlestar. Such a nerd icon. I forgot his name. What's Dean Stockwell? Dean Stockwell.
Dean Stockwell. Okay.
Remember, he
Yeah.
played the VP, the Secretary of Defense, and he was trying to kind of goad her into giving taking the power away, right,
Yeah.
from a Harrison Ford.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah. This would be
I know
crazy
exactly what you're talking about.
if you could actually do this. By the way.
Oh my gosh, right? There's some interesting stuff that people are experimenting with that could lead potentially to actual tissue regeneration. I've been watching some weird science stuff. I sent you one earlier about like, hey, you ready for a brain dance coming up, from Cyberpunk being
Yeah.
real? Because they figured out how to beam images directly into rats' heads using electrical impulses. And terrifying. Terrifying.
And it's we really are just racing down the Ian Malcolm, just they were so worried about if they could and never bothered to think if they should kind of stuff.
Right?
We are just
Very much so.
we are trying to fulfill that prophecy as fast as we can in so many areas. Okay, so she was okay. We were talking about this briefly at the beginning. I forgot the character's name. I'm sorry, but Rebecca Hall, the actress here. In the original comics, so this is very loosely based on, she was supposed to be the big villain, right? It was supposed to be like a big
Yes.
turn, that it was kind of her thing the whole time.
And in the original,
The script.
original script, she had a much larger part, and she was going to be revealed to be the brains behind everything. She was going to be working with Killian, but she was the one who was like giving him his power, and they instead changed her to be a good guy.
Well, because they set it up at
Kind
the
of.
beginning.
She has like a redemption arc in this.
Yeah. Well, they do have the, at the beginning, kind of the, there's somebody that Tony, fell for, obviously just, kind of a one night stand away, not fell for, but just, and the whole thing with the plant at the beginning, that it was her, the kind of, that she was the brainchild that began the whole thing, right? Poor Grim Service. Some random, I always feel bad for.
You see, this is the first time you see him really be like, I'm hands-on evil,
This is where his writing, and Guy Pearce can be incredibly intense when he wants to. And I'm not sure. The fact that he's like kind of disinterested here, and there are other times where he's just like, Guy Pearce, and that's why I truly think that it was the way Shane Black directed him. Because Guy Pearce could have been terrifying if he'd wanted to. He's demonstrated it before as just this sinister. If you wanted to make him into somebody who's just angry, like just incredibly angry at Tony Stark, and this is personal, and he just wants to get him, and like wants to not only kill him, but make sure that Tony Stark knows it was him that did it. Kind of if you want to go with that arc, and that's fine, that arc can be done well, but this is actually somewhat well done.
Yeah.
But Guy Pearce could have done it.
Yeah. Like, even the way that it was shot of him, like, jumping in and snapping the guy's neck, like, it didn't make much sense for it to play that way. And they could have had that be a truly sinister moment, and it's really just not. It's just kind of like, all right.
Well, he almost plays it, like I said, like the fact that he's like disinterested almost. He's acting like
It's
annoyed at the
casual.
entire situation.
Mm-hmm. Fly casual.
Oh, this is funny.
Yeah.
I love that it's like an old Motorola Razr flip phone also. Maybe not an actual Razor, but it's that style of phone.
Yeah.
He's eating
There's
Smarties.
so much more personality in Jarvis in this, and it's like it works in hindsight for Age of Ultron and the creation of Vision, but at the time it was a little bit odd of like, why is Jarvis suddenly like this?
But I like. I mean, if you go all the way back to the first Iron Man, and this is partly Paul Bettany, but also just the way they wrote Jarvis versus Friday. Just that, like the snarky AI, the AI that's just like, yes, I'm. That's so understated. Like that he's sarcastic. That he's. Remember, like his comments in the first Iron Man about like the paint scheme and some of that stuff, where it's just that this is an AI who's like adapted Tony Stark's personality, and I always thought that was fun. And I actually think that Friday was fun also, but I did miss basically Tony having, like you said, almost that relationship with his suits.
Yeah. Very
Okay, here you go. Now this again,
mm-hmm.
This one does seem like this is a good scene. I feel like again as a panic attack and just this kid kind of talking to him, and I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, no, this is one of the ones that I like better. It reminds me of times that I've seen people have panic attacks, and the way that just saying the right thing at the right time and distracting them can actually just kind of snap them out of it.
Yeah.
But there's also like kind of a heavy duty come down off of it that's, both physically and mentally.
Well, I love the idea too that for Tony Stark, the idea of like go build something like this would be like you have no problem believing that for Tony Stark, him doing this would be his like ultimate kind of happy place, so to speak, right? Just
his meditation.
Yeah, I mean, this for him, this would be like meditation to get into just total engineering, kind of. I mean, because this is core stuff for him, right?
Mm-hmm. This is also the first appearance of the Marvel disguise.
the hood and hat that Steve Rogers would do in the mall with Scarlet, Black Widow.
Mm-hmm. And it's used a couple of other times. It's made fun of in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I do love that he keeps the Hello Kitty watch throughout this movie.
He does, and it pops up again at the end, like or is it Hello Kitty or Dora the Explorer?
One of the two.
Oh,
oh man, just like taking a header on concrete stairs. Oh.
Did you ever play any of the Hitman games?
I played some of the older ones. I have not played any of the newer ones.
Dude, the newer ones are great. I'm so excited that they're making a James Bond game. It's gonna be fantastic. But they feel like this, and he just blew that guy's head off. Like he drops the guy into the water and then drops the bomb in there. That dude's head.
The concussive force like through the water. Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And the shrapnels and everything like that. Yeah.
Just right on the top of the head. Did he just kill this guy?
He must have. I mean, he turned an UV glove into a taser and then just zapped into the guy's cranium. That's like straight up.
Yeah, like and then smashed his like face
it's
first
an electric
into it.
Chair.
Yeah. It's just like it's a little brutal.
Yeah, he did.
Oh gosh.
I mean, that was pretty much an UV glove. So this is the part where people are like, this is the part that ruined the movie for a lot of people. The character of the Mandarin was Iron Man's Joker. Like, this would be like making a Batman movie where you have the Joker and reveal that the Joker doesn't actually exist. It's actually like Lex Luthor or the Penguin that created a clown serial killer to distract the cops while he does something. And so, I mean, Batman fans would absolutely hate that, right?
Yeah.
And so I get why people were upset, especially at the time, because it hadn't been rectified like they had in Shang-Chi, and even with the rectification in Shang-Chi, you're never going to have Iron Man versus the Mandarin in the way that people want.
No.
And
do you think part of it also is that they liked the portrayal of Ben Kingsley so much as the Mandarin that it was just like not only is it the twist, but also the and you wasted getting Ben Kingsley, who seemed so good based on the trailers, to play that character.
Mhm. Yeah.
I
And
hate. Oh my gosh, sorry. I so genuinely hate the cliche of I'm threatening you, I'm pointing my gun at you, and then to show you that I'm serious, I'm going to demonstrate that if I had pulled the trigger before this moment, nothing would have happened because now I'm going to actually rack my slide.
yeah,
I
like
hate
at
that
least
so
have
much.
a shell eject or
Yeah,
something,
yeah.
you
If
know?
absolutely. If you had a shell eject, at least then you're literally demonstrating that your hero was incompetent. At least when it comes to firearms. Sorry,
I,
it's a minor quibble.
no, I
I
completely
hate
agree.
it.
Also, his pose goes back and forth between some of these shots. This is not the most well edited thing. He'll put the gun down, he'll put it back up. He'll put the gun down, he'll put it back up. But yeah, I love the character of Trevor Slattery.
He's played. I mean, it's so funny. It's just it's the fact that he's just. I mean, the British, the soccer fan, the drink. It's so funny.
Yeah, it's kind of funny actually. This gun that he has here, this is a Sig Sauer P229, which this is almost exactly the gun that I keep. I have the California legal version. It's slightly like later model Sig Sauer SP 2022, and it is one of my absolute favorite handguns of all time. It's a fantastic weapon.
It's a fantastic gun. Some explosions.
So this is a really interesting thing, because when I first went into this, I thought that part of the plot was that he was using the character of the Mandarin in order to fake some terrorist attacks so that he could blow up some things that he needed. But the actual part of it is that he created the Mandarin to cover up that the extremist was blowing people up by accident. That makes it a little bit more interesting to me. Like, oh crap, my people are literally exploding like bombs. How do I cover this up? And he creates a terrorist. It's great. I find it really interesting.
Yeah. No, this is a plot that I think in a vacuum, it's sorry. In a vacuum, I think that this is actually an interesting idea. I also though totally understand people who just it pissed them off because this like you were mentioning earlier with the Joker. I mean, this is for like for an IP that's closer to my heart. If you had a fake out with Brainiac or Bizarro or some iconic Superman villain. If you did a fake out, I'd be like, especially if one that like had never been done justice on screen, or you've been like anticipating for a long time. So I totally get it. And anybody who's like, no, this was this kind of killed it for me, even though it didn't do the same thing for me. I understand and respect that. So
yeah, it's a tough one.
Yeah,
but also I'm coming at it from the point of view that I just don't really want to see the Mandarin done the way that he was in the comics. Even the version that we got in Shang-Chi, which was amazing, I loved it. It was very different from the way that they did it in the comics. And I liked it a lot better. I have never read a comic version of the Mandarin where I was just like, oh my gosh, this is so interesting and great. It always just feels dated and a little weird. Maybe I haven't read the right ones. I admit that I haven't read a ton, but I've never found them that interesting.
There's a lot of stuff, and again, people who I know that there's some stuff that I have some nostalgia for, that I have an affection for, that objectively is just like not that great, but I love it anyways. There's a lot of like you were saying earlier, there's a lot of comic book stuff, there's a lot of older comic book stuff that there's nothing wrong with liking it. It's not like you're wrong to like it, like some people like to act. But there's also plenty of it where it's like, no, you couldn't do that. You couldn't just put that on screen the way it's written or the way it's shown and just roll with it. You may not like it, but one, to put it on film, and to put it on film in the modern era, and to portray it in a way where you have to somewhat match the tone of what's already been done before. I mean, not that you can't have I think the MCU actually struggles with having the same tone for a lot of their stuff. But you also can't have like just radically different stuff, when it's all connected. And when you're spending that kind of money, you need a return. I hate it, that business has to be part of it. But people don't like to hear that sometimes, where it's like what's in your head that you loved. There's nothing wrong with you loving it. There's nothing wrong with you having a good memory of it, with you going back and revisiting it. But it wouldn't work now, and that's true of a lot of things. And that's just I think some people really struggle with that because the connections they have to these characters are very personal, and they're very tied. A lot of times they're tied to childhood memories, which is like that's a powerful thing, right?
So. Yeah, because one of the things that bugs me a lot about the way that these movies tend to work is they like to change the storylines unnecessarily. That's what happens with every adaptation. Recently, we went over to The Lord of the Rings, and we were talking about how much they had to change for that. And I understood why they had to change some things, but there were some things that were changed that they didn't necessarily need to, and they chose to anyway. And I would think about stuff like Uncharted, okay? They didn't need to change the story of Uncharted to make a good movie, but they chose to change it anyway, and it ended up a shit movie.
Yeah.
And
Halo.
Oh god, Halo. But like changing the Mandarin, I get why they would need to. Changing the Extremis comic to make Aldrich Killian the villain and not Maya Hansen doesn't make sense, except that they wanted to sell more toys. And so, yeah, I have complicated feelings on it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, and I'll say this too, because as somebody who, there have been times where there has been a race or gender swap for no other reason than somebody just trying to be progressive and just is win brownie points for from that crowd, and it annoys me. But the same is true in the other direction. If you have a good character who is absolutely already established as as a certain race or as a certain gender, and it's part of their character, and you change it to a white dude to try to sell it better, like that's just as, I would consider that just as bad as changing something just to score brownie points. And it doesn't matter. It's, again, those are the changes where you're not adding to the story in any substantial way. This is an interesting. Okay, what did you think of this, by the way? Did you see this coming?
I figured that she was either going to have to be the villain or she was going to die. There wasn't an in-between. I didn't necessarily see it coming this way, but it was like, yeah, she's either the bad guy or she's expendable for emotional sake.
But again, his whole thing here of just acting almost bored when he shoots her. It's a choice, I guess, but...
Yeah, he's too suave. He's too smooth. He acts like he's auditioning for a James Bond movie.
Well, even the way he's like just writing, and just like not writing, the way he's like walking, kind of like leaning back, and just the whole, I don't know, it's just this. Okay, I did like this.
It's the beginning of one of my least favorite tropes that's happened in recent years. Is that the bad guys are just boring white businessmen. That is my least favorite villain trope ever, and it's at least modern day. And it stretches back as much as 15 years, like this movie. But it's just, that's what he is to me. Watching this movie, he's nothing. He's a big nothing burger because he's just another bland ass white business dude.
Now, this little sequence coming up, though, I do think it is one of the better action scenes where he's got, oh, Dora the Explorer, you're right.
Yeah, I would never forget Dora the Explorer.
Ponytail Express. Again, it was interesting that there is some of this that is, very Shane Blackey dialogue, but does also fit the established kind of Iron Man tone.
Yeah.
I'm gonna kill you first.
Yeah. This is the exact type of dialogue that fits really well with the character of Tony Stark already established.
I watched go ahead, sorry.
Quippiness is good.
I watched this in a video I watched. They did the math on when he raises his hands for the first part, and how fast the pieces of armor would have to travel to get from Tennessee to them, to him at like in the amount of
Well,
time
standard air
shown.
travel, it's going to be about 2 hours
Yeah.
from Tennessee to Tampa, and it arrives in something like under 60 seconds
Yeah.
film time.
Just like
And so it would have to be going at not like speed of light, but I think it's like Mach 10
yeah,
or something.
something just totally unrealistic. And it's I mean, it's fine. It's one of those quibbles that
Yeah.
even the greatest movies of all time, suffer from a little bit of that stuff. But it is interesting that they do the whole the breathing fire there, and then never do that particular move again.
Yeah, that was okay. Literally every single video that I watched about this movie brought up the fact that he does the whole dragon fire thing and then just doesn't do it again. Like, what's the point? Like, it's just like, let's do this cool effect. Are we gonna use it later? No. Why not? Cause it's dumb. I think it's a cool effect, but I almost hate it because they don't use it again.
Yeah, because they don't use it again. These villains, they're fun. I don't know why. Again,
They are.
It's
This feels very Shane Black to me. This is like Jon Favreau wouldn't have made the villains like that.
no, and I actually love the gag coming up with the
Oh yes, it's
the one villain. It's just like
it's one of the best parts of this movie. Just like straight up.
oh, dude, you gotta unlock the door.
It's like if they can travel at freaking Mach 10,
But they can't get through like our rickety old barn door.
Yeah. Right? And what did he pour on it that made it explode? You know,
I would.
that was kind of an odd little scene.
Yeah, was it like supposed to be?
I feel like they have some deleted scene where he couldn't get through the lock, and it was going to have like more tension or something like that, where he's like mixing up a chemical that'll allow him to blow the lock off, but they decided to delete it for pacing.
Yeah, because you could have had Tony Stark is kind of desperately fighting for his life against these guys and just, barely, able to hold his ground while, the kid's trying to get the rest of his armor free to get to him kind of a thing.
Yeah. Yeah,
shoots a guy right in the butt.
That's the guy right down there. They have the really good gag because he's also the Tony Stark's like personal fight coordinator. I think.
I hate working here. They're so weird. Oh, it's great.
But this kind of like half-formed Iron Man suit, I think, is a really great. Like, I wanted there to be an action sequence where he has only like half the suit. I think that would have been really cool.
You don't think that the leg and the hand was enough, or you wanted more?
I don't know. I just think it would have been cool to have it be a little bit longer, more intense sequence. And how do you, where could you even land a Chinook helicopter? You know?
I like how awkward he looked going down the stairs.
Right?
Oh.
It's funny to think that this whole movie, Rhodey's running around in jeans and a green polo.
Yeah.
Like,
well, and the fact that that's what he was
heroic.
wearing, like, inside of his suit, too. Like, he didn't have some kind of a... I love the battery. The fact that he didn't have some kind of, I don't know, like, thermal layer, or, it does seem odd, because if he was, like, on official duty in that thing, you would not wear that underneath, right?
I mean, one of the jokes that I heard was somebody saying, what was he, like, playing golf with the president when he got called away or something?
I love the Olay gag here. Is that? Did we already miss it?
Some people. Wait, what was that?
Oh, the fact that the gun was actually hot there. It's nice.
Yeah, that's a Beretta.
Yep.
Sorry, I'm getting fixated on the guns.
No, it is though. I mean, and it's the rare Equinox Beretta that's all stainless. Yeah.
Oh, I'm not familiar with the Equinox Beretta. I can spot a Beretta.
Oh no, it's a 92F for sure, but it's basically they call it the Equinox, but it's just an all stainless version of it. It's just a fancy, expensive version of it versus your standard blued steel one.
Yeah, I like the look better than your standard blue steel, but also just I find I don't like the Beretta. You drop it in the dirt, it'll never work again.
Lovely speedboat.
Speedboat. Yeah, the ole ole thing. So many of the people that I saw or listened to about this, a lot of them weren't American, and they were like really big soccer fans. They loved that he was just like a jock douche. Oh, this has a really interesting part to it. Are you aware of this little interesting casting tidbit?
Well, this is I know this actor's name. Like tell me the actor's name because I recognize him. He's a really well known actor from certain things,
Oh,
right?
Miguel Ferrer.
Yeah.
No, it's mainly about the daughter that they're about to show here in a second.
Okay.
Are,
So
are, are you are you
no,
familiar
I'm
with
not.
this
Go ahead.
little bit here? Well, I'll go ahead and wait till you can actually see her, and you can tell me if you
Here you go.
recognize her at all. Okay? Do you recognize her?
I I don't.
Did you ever watch the TV show Wednesday?
No, never seen it.
That is current considered superstar Jenna Ortega
Oh,
of Beetlejuice, Scream 6, the whole entire Wednesday series. She's actually a terrible actress. She's great as Wednesday, but not as anything else.
okay.
And
Everything you
way
just mentioned, I have not
overrated,
seen.
but
So sorry.
it's a big deal. She is a huge name. She
I
could probably demand like $20 million for a starring role, and they'd give it to her.
Wow. I know that Wednesday's big.
Yeah.
Okay. there's not that much juice in a car battery. Just saying. It's
Well,
12
one of the
volts.
things about the arc reactors is the fact that they can take a little bit of electricity and like amp it up. They could use
That's true.
electricity as a boost. So I think that's kind of supposed to be the idea. Santa hat. Merry Christmas.
Okay, he didn't need. I mean, I got. Well, okay, it's about the reveal. I was just about to say, Iron Patriot could have easily. The armor could have disabled that lock, no problem. But yeah, they wanted to.
It's stealth.
Yeah, well, they wanted the reveal. Oh man, that is a rough way to go.
This is a nasty scene.
Okay, why?
But
It must just be that somebody who's not used to the suit, the fact that they like put up their arm defensively, it just must be somebody who's just very much not used to the idea that you're freaking invulnerable against 9mm in this suit, so don't even like care about it. But
I think that would be part of it.
yeah, somebody that's just very unused to it, because the whole thing he ricocheted a bullet out the window because he put up his hand like, oh no, like trying to protect himself from 9mm.
Also,
in that suit.
like the idea of the president hiding underneath the desk is like insulting. You know that Secret Service on board Air Force One, there's going to be some sort of panic room right there to lock him behind and probably drop him out of a life pod.
James Badale, he does a good job here of just like looking so like he looks like a villain who's having a good time,
Yeah, he has henchman douche face.
Oh yeah, he does. Well, and I think part of it is he's got great eyes. I love the hat. It's that little detail. Just as he's walking around, the hat was a great idea.
Yeah,
and right there,
agree.
just that cocky, kind of just head
Like,
tilt and just
Let's go, bro.
See, he is okay. So was Killian just much more powerful than these guys? Because the speed and ease at which Killian in the last big fight is taking out Iron Man suits.
I think the answer is don't think about it.
Don't think about it. All right. I won't. Now I do want to talk about this stunt sequence because I remember this thing being promoted like before the movie even came out. Like all the the Red Bull skydiving team and all that, right? Doing a lot of this. I mean, obviously there's CG involved, but a lot of this was done practically.
Yeah. I also like that he just straight up murked the guy. Like, there's no subtlety about it. They're dead.
Yeah.
Bye.
I mean, he unibeamed a guy through the chest.
Yeah.
These
are all real skydivers. A
Yeah.
lot of this is practical effects, and I love that so much.
Yeah.
A lot of people consider this one of the best and most thrilling sequences in the entirety of the MCU. And I think it does deserve it because it feels better and a little bit more real than the others, because so much of it is.
Well, yeah, and it's about problem solving too. As much as I love Superman and the idea that he can just kind of grab everybody, that this is about, they actually
spreading.
take physics into account here of the idea that these are people. He's got to kind of put them together. You know, the idea here of like, you know, I need to help you because you would never be able to hold on, and just you know, getting them into the water kind of, you know, gently. It's now the amount of time that goes by, I think is definitely a stretch, but the actual the thinking through the problem solving that happens during the sequence is part of why I love it so much.
The whole
Barrel of
I'm gonna
monkeys.
electrify her arm is a little funky. I mean, how long does it actually take to fall that long?
I mean,
never been skydiving, so I
I'm
don't
pretty
know.
sure you only get like 2-ish minutes.
Yeah. So
But these guys, they had like modified like parachutes that would fit underneath their costumes. And that's why
Yeah.
you know, and and then like
Yeah, they had
when
to
they hit the
show
water here, there was actually like a group of them like literally on wire work, like going over the water. Like they didn't CG at all, which is great. I mean, obviously they're touching it all up with CG, but man, it looks good.
yeah, that right there, that the practical wire work. And I like the idea of spreading them out so that would actually slow them down enough, because that is an actual thing. People don't realize, like, yes, you need a parachute, but the amount of drag that you can accomplish with just clothes and like properly spreading out is good. Yes. The showing that it's
The gag.
a gag. Like,
I did. So I also appreciated the fact, because this is something that superheroes don't do quite often, that he kind of turned just to make sure before he got going that everybody had like, you know, had surfaced
yeah.
in the water. That was good.
Yeah. No, I agree.
I do appreciate here that they showed that he had to like unbury this, because it does. I mean, one of the first questions I would have if they didn't have this sequence here would be, well, why didn't he just summon a fresh suit, you know, right off the bat? And that I'm glad that they showed this, because if they hadn't shown this, I would have considered that a plot hole.
No, because like you, I watched Caravan of Garbage. I think they're probably our most referenced across all
Well,
of
they are
these.
fun. They're definitely fun.
They're so much fun. They talked about just like, well, why didn't he just summon him at the beginning? Why does he have to go through this whole dog and pony show? And I'm like, but no, they show them needing
do,
to uncover it with like a freaking crane.
Yeah, as much as I love those guys, every now and then I want to be like, did you pay it? Although in this particular one episode, did you see like the editor had thrown up a couple things like over their video, like basically some like text?
Maybe I didn't have my eyes on it all the time.
Okay, yeah. The editor actually of their video threw up some text, basically being like, yes, here's the answer. They missed it when they were watching the movie. Like you should go back and just scan through it really fast, because the editor throws them under the bus in that movie, in that video, which is great.
Yeah.
What I do like the inventive way to kidnap the president, like in the armor, because if you weren't in control of it, that armor would be totally a prison.
So what can you explain to me Aldrich Killian's plan?
No. He's no. It's up there with Lex Luthor's plan in Batman vs Superman. Completely just incomprehensible.
Yeah.
I do like this this line though, this little moment. Just I mean, but this is where I feel like it would work if he had really gone more in the angry, I've been wronged, Tony Stark, you know, I have a personal vendetta. I want to embarrass him. I want to show the world that he couldn't save you, that he wasn't able to stop me. And at the same time, you know, the idea of, you know, I'm going to lead the new wave of the salvation of the, you know, basically like the idea of, because he says it earlier, you know, ever since the big guy with the hammer fell out of the sky, you know, the plot of a response being necessary. I mean, obviously Nick Fury, you know, brings that up in Avengers, and it comes up a few other times, that the world would be working on ways to protect itself and solutions to the problem of the fact that, you know, aliens are now just part of existence, including ones that want to kill us. So there's ways you could have done this, and Killian could have been more compelling, and in a plot that makes sense, because he not only wants to become rich, by basically running the solution to the problem presented by the appearance of Thor, but he also wants to stick it to Tony Stark really hard. And if you had, really committed to that, I think it would have worked better.
Yeah, I very much agree. In fact, there's a version of this movie in my head, just kind of thinking of how I would want to change some things to it. And one of the ideas that I had was that what if because one of the problems is that magic was not established firmly in the MCU at this time, right? They didn't really want to, they were afraid to, especially under Paramount. They even do the whole thing with Thor where it's not magic or gods, it's just technology that we don't fully understand yet. So why don't you have this ability to why can't you make the Mandarin not a sorcerer necessarily? Because it's still 4 years out from when they 3.5, 4 years out from when they officially acknowledge magic in the MCU with Doctor Strange. What if they made the Mandarin's 10 rings an Asgardian artifact and actually connect him a little bit to Thor and be able to kind of do it that way, and you don't have to go through this fake Mandarin dog and pony show, I think that there's a version of this movie that can exist that way that'd be a little bit more true to the comics and possibly even narratively cohesive, where it is Stark dealing with his crazy PTSD, but also facing down a foe that he never imagined he'd have to.
Although, yeah, and that could. Although, do you think that actually they could have saved it? Because I mean, for comic book fans, AIM is a big name, right? So you could have just had AIM as the villain, and it would have worked fine, and you would have completely avoided the entire Mandarin problem with the
that's
fans.
like making a trilogy of Batman movies without using the Joker. There's an expectation that they wanted to achieve. They just chose to really screw with how they decided to present it.
Okay.
Merry Christmas.
I always think too with some of these, when they were all shooting, at him earlier, I always think, thank goodness none of the villains who were far away had weapons that had any kind of range on them. They were shooting with like Scorpion submachine guns and stuff, from like 200 yards, which is, that's realistic. You wouldn't hit Jack with that weapon. But, thank goodness nobody had just like a regular freaking rifle, because then they would have been able to nail him. So it's very convenient. We have like an early version of the Hulkbuster here, right?
Yeah. This is the Igor model. I both love and hate this sequence because you're seeing all these armors. It's very well done, very well choreographed. I'm also like, dang it, like, I wanted to see more of this, I wanted to see more of these armors and what they can do and their individual things. And
there's so many Easter eggs in here that just exist for a second, right? And then just vanish.
Mm-hmm. There's a whole bunch of these armors are straight out of the comics. There's one in here called the God Killer armor that just looks so stinking good. The space armor looks really good, and they're not used.
It also,
I almost think that, like, imagine if he's building all these things and it's like a plot point that he's building all these things, right?
Yeah.
And, like, what if they had it so that the plot was actually that they're being taken control of, and he has to like fight all of his own armors that are going up against him or something like that. Like, that could have been a fun plot idea. I'm sure that they probably played with that and they just couldn't get it to work.
That was fun. I do think that there is, you can, and I get that it's just, again, this is a trope. It's a very, worn trope. We talked about, I think we talked about it in the podcast a long time ago with Buffy fighting the
original vampires.
The original vampires, and how hard it was the first one, and all of a sudden the same thing here with, I feel like in order to kind of make the action sequence happen, they have to either on one hand really nerf the suits, because they go down like chumps so easily, or all of a sudden like all the Extremis guys are like just really, really powerful. Just like the ease at which he gets, like there's like he instantly gets through Iron Man's army there. Like the armor's so like he's so hot. The speed he gets through there is I don't know. It's a trope that plenty of things are guilty of, but it's I feel like it's just
Yeah,
excessive in this final sequence.
I agree. They do the glass cannon thing, and they do it decent enough. My whole thing is, my assumption is that if I was like writing it as a novel, because that's the way that I tend to go at these things, there would be that, like, he knows that you want to kill these guys, take out their heart or their brain. Um, there's
Take a
okay.
minute.
So here,
The beginning of
this
the
is
lose an arm trope in honor of Empire
this is
Strikes
the
Back, right?
first Marvel Phase 2 amputation. Every single Marvel Phase 2 movie features an amputation of some kind as a reference to The Empire Strikes Back and Luke getting his hand cut off. I love it. But anyway, like, they show that the Extremis guys, they're incredibly powerful, but they're also very physically vulnerable. So I think that there is a balance between them. The problem is how it works in a vacuum of the MCU, which, again, they didn't know if there was going to be an MCU after this. And he got really lucky with that jump.
He really did, because there was a platform right there. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
like, bye bye.
I'm glad that they gave Rev Rhodey, a moment or two of also showing that he's competent, right? That
Yeah.
and he stays cool even when things get a little crazy,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, it really bums me out that the whole Armor Wars movie / TV show never happened. I really wanted him to have his
Isn't that still a
own, and they really
possibility?
did him dirty. Eh, I doubt it, to be honest.
It was full of explodium.
uh, I really hated how they did his character so dirty in the Secret Wars
Secret Wars.
TV show, which was just an abomination. And yeah, it just huge bummer that how badly they mistreated him and his character.
Yeah, I didn't even get through the end of Secret Wars. I got like 2 episodes in and then stopped.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Those two specific, three, She-Hulk, Secret Wars, and not Secret Wars, Secret Invasion,
Yeah.
and
Well, it's
Ironheart. Just like, I think that without them, the MCU wouldn't be in nearly as dire of a situation as it is. Those are the big hits.
okay. I mean, I'm sorry to be this guy, but I just got to say, like, Gwyneth Paltrow,
Yeah,
she put in some work.
Finn.
I mean,
Yeah.
she's looking good.
I've never been attracted to Gwyneth Paltrow.
I'm
In
just saying
anything.
she put the gym time in. That's
Yeah, I can admire that, but she still annoys the crap out of me. I don't like her as an actress. I don't like her voice. I don't like her acting style. And her weird ass personal life. And,
Well, yeah.
her
she's
vagina candles and stuff like that is weird. And I don't like her. She's an oogie person.
she's odd for sure. This is what and he jumps so far here. And Tony really gets like a baseball. I mean, like that is a slide that an MLB player would barely be able to pull off that he did right there.
Oh yeah, that's a straight up like Call of Duty slide. That's a V in Cyberpunk special unlock extra long slide.
I do love the moment there where yes, even for Killian, punching, punching
Yeah.
the suit would still hurt. Yeah, this is where Killian really the way this fight goes down, the way that he's just I don't know. It's there's not a lot of like right there, just like moving, kind of like a. I don't like this fight.
I mean,
I'm trying to
they do
describe.
mention that he's kind of the serum perfected.
Yeah, but he's moving. There's not a lot of like. There's moments of this fight that are well choreographed, and there's moments where it's just too gummy.
Oh yeah.
What's the word?
Boneless look.
Yeah, it's got that CGI movement look that's just annoying to me, versus just like, and again, we saw, just a year after this film, the kind of choreography we would get in Winter Soldier, and it's just this doesn't hold up.
No.
The worst suit you have currently.
Right.
And I feel like they use this gag one too many times, by the way.
Yeah. And I could like see this coming. I knew that it was going to happen. Also, the way that they end this fight scene here in a couple minutes is just infuriatingly stupid. It's almost an insult how dumb it is the way that they end this.
Yeah. It's just, yeah. Sorry, I'm like distracted by just how much it's just a weird, like the way he looks, the effect on his chest with the dragon tattoos, his just weird movements where it's like very exaggerated, like he's trying to appear bigger, and it's just, yeah.
Like
I'm
blowing
annoyed.
up. This is an appropriate ending for the character. Like, yeah, you know what? That's how a villain could and should die. You know, he uses the Mark 42 that's been his companion through it, sacrifices it, blows him up, right? But then they make it continue just too long, and the whole I am the Mandarin, and then the way that he actually dies is stupid.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't track with everything else we've seen so far.
Well, and that's another one where I think every video I watched about this movie called out his I'm the Mandarin as just being so cringy, and I completely agree. It's just
cringe, guys.
It's so
super
bad.
Cringe.
And I usually actually kind of hate the trope of killing a character and bringing them back, like, you know, within a few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this one, you know, because of the way that Pepper died, you know, I'm using air quotes on a podcast again, died, it doesn't bother me too much because it wasn't like this big, you know, telegraphed thing. It wasn't the sacrifice, you know, that really was a key motivating factor for somebody else. It wasn't like Spock and Wrath of Khan. So it doesn't bother me in this particular film, even though that trope is something that I generally hate.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But this, though, oh my gosh, it's just...
It was always me. Named after a chicken dish.
I got nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got nothing. I do actually currently have nothing. Like, this is just...
Yeah.
It just doesn't work. This whole section just feels off. It feels wrong, disjointed, out of place.
Well, and then
I
think they
something
just...
different.
I do...
And
this... Yeah, I think they just wanted...
Extremis.
Yeah, they just wanted an excuse to give her, like, an action beat.
Be
and
here a moment.
And I don't have a problem with giving Pepper an action beat. It's just a bad action beat.
Mm-hmm.
Because
but now you're sexist for having said that, Brian.
No, because I know you're just kidding with me, but no, because the whole thing at the beginning, you know, when the mansion's getting attacked, and I actually liked her as rescue very much in Endgame. Like, I have no problem with it giving Pepper. It's just, and then that whole thing, just the whole like, oh, you know, it's really violent, and I'm gonna all of a sudden act like, you know, I'm kind of, I don't know, it's just.
Yeah, because and the fact that it's reversed so quickly, like there's no actual narrative point to her being an extremist soldier. Like, there's no point to it at all. Yeah, it makes me mad.
Yeah,
I find it really stupid.
It's yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very unsatisfying conclusion to the main arc. Now, I actually think the final scene we get where he goes back out to his mansion is a great sequence. Like, I like.
Oh,
that
dude,
a lot.
I really want to talk about that one.
Yeah, but
I really want to talk about that one.
Okay, but the wrapping up of this whole thing, I don't love it.
Like,
also,
this whole thing fits as a an end to an Iron Man trilogy where nothing happens after it, but it doesn't work with everything that happens after it, and so it makes it a very unsatisfying
Yeah,
conclusion.
I think
Like
if
this
you
was made in such a vacuum, you know?
yeah, what's me if you watched this and then you just immediately popped in Ultron, it would be like,
Hmm.
man, what doesn't what?
Like,
There is no
okay, so
connective
he just
tissue.
goes back to it.
Yeah, and I get that
Yeah.
Age of Ultron, its job wasn't to
Hmm.
spell that out, but it is
Well,
one of
also
the
they didn't know if he was going to be coming back.
yeah,
They didn't know if they were going to be able to afford him again.
but they didn't even they didn't even try.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Hmm.
Like
It's very weird, and like
find a way to
all those
shoehorn it into
poor
something.
armors.
Go ahead.
Yeah. All that poor armor. Like all those really cool suits. Like, bro, this is what we wanted.
Yeah.
And it's just over like that. And he's just gonna get rid of all of his cool shit. Like, that's no fair to like the audience. Because so much of what I wanted to see as an Iron Man fan, and they're all gone, all those cool armors, and we don't get to see them used again.
Well,
And we get to
he
see like
jumps. Yeah.
some armors later,
Well, he
but they're
jumps
all
forward
kind of the
to a.
same armor.
Well, yeah. That's what I mean. As soon as they jump to the nano armor, well, then it's there. You completely take away the need. You completely eliminate
Mhm.
the very idea of specialized armor because he immediately jumped to armor that can just become whatever it needs to be.
Yeah.
And as much as that is cool, it also you're robbing yourself of a lot of narrative creativity.
Mm. Like they have this moment is kind of unearned from this movie. This is almost like a moment that's more important to the first and second movie than it is to this of him like fixing his arc reactor and
Yeah,
everything like that, or
this
fixing his
movie
chest
barely
and the
even
shrapnel.
addressed that particular struggle that he had.
Hmm.
I mean, that
And
would have been huge after the second movie with
yeah, that Chinese doctor that actually helped him though was actually part of the things from the Chinese cut of this movie, and they had scenes of him meeting him at the conference at the beginning of the movie and stuff, and they had like a little side plot that involved him and another lady that was completely cut.
hmm.
Just random little thing, but that's the doctor who operated on him. Chinese diplomat character, you could say,
This would be cool if you were a kid, by the way.
right?
Be like, heck
Dude,
yeah, and befriended
mm.
a billionaire
Well,
philanthropist playboy.
a lot of the people that I read online compared Aldrich Killian to Syndrome from The Incredibles, and that this is supposed to represent Tony's growth as a person by instead of leaving him high and dry, he actually fulfills his promise and comes back and says, "Hey, look at the cool stuff that you get now because I remembered my promise."
Hmm.
Which isn't the worst little thing there. Okay, right here. This is what I want
Go
to talk
for it.
about. Does this look at all weird to you? Um, like, is there anything weird about Robert Downey Jr. in this scene to you?
I look for it.
Um, right here.
I mean, he's not at the ocean right there. It's clearly a green screen behind him. I don't. I'm not sure.
Actually,
I'm
it wasn't a green screen behind him.
really. It looks fake for some
No,
reason. Okay, what's
because
different?
it's an entirely digital head replacement.
Really? I
Yes,
okay. I did not know this.
that right there.
Tell me about this.
Okay, so he was unavailable. I'm not sure if it was because of injury or because of scheduling, but they couldn't get him back to film this when they decided that they wanted to end it this way. And um, so they had somebody go out to the set that they built and everything like that. They're on the Malibu beach. I think the ruins themselves are added in, but it's just a one of his doubles that fits his size and build.
Huh.
And he goes out there, and they just digitally replaced his face.
Interesting. I
Yeah.
for some reason I've definitely seen plenty of behind the scenes stuff on this film, but I missed that. Or if I did see it, I forgot about it. So
Yeah.
I do like
So
the
that
whole
was
kind of
interesting.
'70s end credit thing where they bring in stuff from all three movies, which is fun.
Very Shane Black.
Oh yeah, yeah. But it also still again it still has a little bit of that that MCU ish of just a lot of the MCU has credits that are just fun. I mean And I
Yeah.
enjoy a fun credit sequence to kind of wrap up an experience.
Did you read about the alternate credit sequence they were originally planning on?
No,
So, as we get to the end credits, we're probably going to talk over them here, so that way we eventually get to the actual end
little
credits moment.
tease,
Little teasy tease.
the joke.
Which is just a joke of the fact that it's him with talking to Bruce Banner. The whole narration was actually him having an impromptu therapy session with Bruce Banner, and they're like buddies, which is fine. I would put it in like the probably bottom 10 end credit sequences of Marvel, to be totally honest.
Well, I think there are a couple end credit sequences that don't tease anything, that are just fun. Like
Yeah.
the Captain America like gym teacher one, like
Yeah.
I actually I think that one's a lot of fun.
The
Personally.
Avengers Shawarma.
Yeah, the Avengers War, yeah, but this one is yeah,
It's a big nothing burger.
it really is.
If anything, it just implies that it's possible that this entire story isn't the way that it happened because we have an unreliable narrator in the form of Tony Stark. But the original end credit sequence had something to do with Tony receiving a transmission from outer space and actually having a space
yeah.
armor, and he goes into outer space. And because they were so confident in the Guardians of the Galaxy, because they got really excited about it when they were making it, and around this time they had a comic book run where Tony actually goes into outer space and joins the Guardians of the Galaxy, and actually has a you could describe it as purely physical relationship with Gamora that leaves him traumatized and bruised. And they were like, "Oh, we could totally tie these things together and it'll be a really interesting pairing," and blah 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 blah. And then they were like, "No, we're probably not going to be able to do that, and we don't know if we're getting our Robert Downey Jr. back." So they just have a random little therapy session.
Yeah, if you really were in a you had established it, you had to do something, and you had no time. I mean, there's definitely worse things you could do than just have just a little, because you do have their relationship. It was one of the more fun parts of the Avengers, right? So, I mean, I put it this way: it's definitely not in the realm of post credits, teases. It's very very low, but I don't hate it either. It's just silly, and you move on. You know what I mean? Like, it's not one that like pisses me off or anything. It's just like, all right, I get the joke, and you move on. So it never stood out to me as a particularly bad one, just as a completely unmemorable one.
Yeah, I remember being disappointed in it when
When
I first saw it, because I wanted there to be something kind of big and connective.
Did you and I see this in theaters together? Because we were totally. No, I was I was up in Oregon by the time this came out, wasn't I? I'm trying to think.
No, because you moved up to Oregon in 2017.
Oh yeah, this was years before. I mean, I'm trying to think.
Yes.
No, because no. I think my distinct memory, the first time going to an MCU movie with you was going to see Winter Soldier opening weekend.
Yes.
Because I remember.
Because
I'm gonna go ahead.
We were both blown away because I didn't have high I did not have high expectations for Captain America: Winter Soldier.
So I want to tell a quick story here, even though this is Winter Soldier. We'll be doing it, in a few weeks. I'm going to tell it now because it's in my mind, and I'll probably forget it by the time I get there. I have this. I told my kids this story, and they were horrified. This is I'm most ashamed as a nerd film goer story ever, and I'm wondering if you'll remember this because I was talking to you. We go into Winter Soldier, and we went to see it at the the theater down. It's like down off Greenback. That's that one right off the freeway. In Sacramento.
It used to be a Regal, but COVID changed all that. But yeah, one right off Greenback.
Yeah, so this is opening. This is probably, I think this is Friday night. Like we went like right away, and we're walking out, and there's people lined up to see the next showing, and there was nothing malicious about this, but we walk out immediately talking, and I just blurting out the big spoiler about S.H.I.E.L.D. because I'm so excited to talk to you about it. And these pair of guys in a line opening weekend to see the movie on Friday night look at me and just like this look of, you mother, and I'm just like the realization of what I'd just done I felt so bad. Do you remember this? Do you have Aaron remember this?
Um, I remember seeing it with you, but
Man,
I
you
don't
don't
know if you
remember this?
communicated to me that moment.
Oh, man, 'cause I remember telling you like, do you realize what I just did? I feel like crap. That is like, I mean,
I feel
I
bad. I don't
think the
remember that.
whole spoiler free culture gets a little out of hand sometimes on the internet. The idea of like, oh, any spoiler is just like sin, but like that still was just like I would have been pissed
Yeah.
if that had been spoiled for me, and I did that for some random guy, and I
Hmm.
like to the whole internet. I'm sorry because I was not thinking, but yeah, I'm
Hmm.
okay. I'm surprised you don't remember that, but yeah, that was you and me
No,
walking out. I think one of your sisters was with us too. It was a larger group, but we were all chatting about it.
I want to say it was Taryn. I believe it was
I
Taryn.
think so. I think that sounds right.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Because weirdly enough, like I remember seeing it with you. I don't remember a lot of like afterward. I just one of the things that I remember specifically about coming out of Winter Soldier, and we'll probably talk more about this when we get to Winter Soldier in a couple weeks here. But I had very low expectations when they announced all of the Phase 2 titles because they announced um, Iron Man 3, Thor the Dark World, Captain America Winter Soldier, Guardians of the Galaxy, and
Ant-Man.
Ant Man. And I'm sitting here and I'm kind of like rubbing my temple going, Ant Man, the Winter Soldier? What is they're doing that? You know, I was like upset that they were going to be
Hmm.
doing this storyline that I didn't like. Because I had read some of the Winter Soldier ones. There were some good things about it, but I didn't like the title. I thought that the title was off-putting, The Winter Soldier. And I just there was just something visceral about it for both the Dark World and Winter Soldier as titles. I did not like them, and I didn't have high expectations for the movie. I remember like, oh, the directors. The only thing they'd done is like Community,
Yeah, we had no
and
idea who the
I remember
Russos
seeing
could do. We didn't know what they could
yeah,
do at that point.
I remember seeing the like the trailers and going, okay, this looks like some pretty cool stuff. We'll see how it is, and I don't know. It's probably just gonna be okay. And then coming out of it, and I'm like, that is possibly the best action movie of the, you know, in the top five best action movies of the 21st century.
Yeah,
And just blown away, and actually the amount of emotion and character development they were able to put in, because all that we'd had so far was Iron Man 3 and uh, Thor
Dark
the
World did
Dark
come out.
World,
Yeah,
because I'd been living in Israel when Thor: The Dark World came out, and I wasn't able to see it until I got home, and it had been in theaters for a long time, and I kept getting it spoiled, and people telling me, "Oh, it's got some really funny parts and this and that," and I was just I was not expecting anything great
yeah,
because I'd had the moderate disappointments that were Iron Man 3 and Thor: Dark World, and I
yeah.
was
This it
just
was.
blown away. It
I remember with
reinvigorated everything about the MCU for me.
yeah. Oh no, yeah, I'm with you on that one because when I saw this in theaters, I mean, I was super hyped for this movie. You know, after the Avengers, and you're just full like, this is cool, and not really knowing the comics that well. I was just like, I didn't have a lot of expectations about the Mandarin. So here we go, our little. But I I liked this movie. I want to talk about the box office a tiny bit about this movie because this movie I
Yeah.
think is also in a bad way. Like the fact that it did so well is part of what set up. I mean, we're still seeing it where the idea that a Marvel movie, if it doesn't make 800 million to $1 billion is like disappointment, and the budgets still keep being set at that level. And this movie is part of the reason why, because this I think outside of the Avenger movies and Civil War, if I'm not wrong, this is the highest grossing MCU film. But I think that this did more than Captain Marvel, which also did cross $1 billion. I remember that. But that was another movie that was talk about you sandwiching a movie in between Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah.
Um, but just the idea that like $1 billion is just expected, and I hate what that has done to the superhero like industry, the film industry for superhero movies. The idea that a $1 billion is expected, and anything less than that is like, it just didn't do it's the same thing when you hear like a video game like didn't meet sales expectations, even though it sold like 8 million copies. And you're like, what are you guys smoking in like your corporate headquarters?
Right.
Like, get off your. I mean,
well, part of that for video games is that they actually set unrealistically high sales expectations, so that way they have a valid, predetermined excuse to lay off the developers and close studios.
That is the part of like business that pisses me off. But I do think that this movie, because I mean, Avengers was people expected it to be a big deal, but I mean, Avengers exceeded expectations, and then I think this movie, more than any other movie, really unfortunately set that trend in motion of just the expectation and then the inflated budgets and the expectations of the corporate types, and then the trickle effect of that, I think to this day can be felt. I think that coupled with Disney Plus, that's a whole nother conversation, are two of the big deep reasons why the Marvel Cinematic Universe is in the shape that it currently is in.
Yeah. Also, it's the 8th highest grossing in the MCU. 9th highest grossing superhero movie of all time. The 8th highest grossing superhero movie of all time is The Incredibles 2.
Okay.
But the ranking currently stands as Endgame and Infinity War and Spider-Man No Way Home are the top 3.
I always forget about No Way Home, which made like an obscene amount of money.
1.5 billion.
Yeah.
And then you have Avengers Age of Ultron, Black Panther, Deadpool and Wolverine, then Iron Man 3.
So Deadpool and Wolverine, I mean, I know it isn't. I don't think of it as part of the MCU. I know it is. I'm not trying to argue that it's not. It doesn't pop into mind when I think of the MCU, because I think of Deadpool as like its own thing,
What's crazy is that Captain America Winter Soldier is the 38th.
Yeah, it did not, in the box office, I mean, it wasn't by any means like a bomb, but it wasn't.
No, $700 million.
Yeah, it made money, but it's that $700 million a few years later would have been considered a massive disappointment. Like it's fortunate that it was made when it was made, where again, the damage of the box office return of this movie hadn't quite settled in yet. Because again, if that had been a Phase 3 movie, it would have been considered a massive disappointment box office wise. Yeah.
Thor: Love and Thunder made $760 million, and they were like, "Ooh, that didn't perform the way that we were hoping it to."
The movie is garbage.
The Batman from 2022 made $770 million, and they were like, we're not positive we want to shell out money for a sequel on this one.
That's so nuts.
Wakanda Forever made $850 million, and they still haven't made a sequel to that one yet.
Yeah.
It's like, it's really strange. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness made $955 million. Okay?
Well, when you're spending...
was not a good movie.
No.
And they still haven't officially announced a third one.
Yeah. Well, when between production and marketing, when you're spending $400 to $500 million on your movie, it's just... Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got to, and one of my internet crushes, Dan Murrell, talks about this a lot on his charts show, that they've got to get these budgets under control, because it will be the death of this stuff if they cannot figure out how to make a movie for $120 million again. They've got to figure that out, because the theatrical model will not support that kind of because you're not going to put this lightning back in the bottle and sell it over again. I'm sure Doomsday is going to make money, but
I don't know.
But not. I'm not saying it's going to.
I don't know if it's going to make its money back.
No, that's what I mean. I'm sure it's going to make money. But Doomsday. If Doomsday comes out and makes $900 million, it's going to be a financial disappointment, right? Which is that's insanity. And the only reason why is because the expectation of previous stuff and the fact that they're going to spend $500 million to make it.
Mm-hmm.
That's the
crazy.
part of,
and this movie really has me worried. Doomsday, time of recording, Avengers Doomsday has not come out.
Yeah.
We're still a year away from it.
Barely getting the teasers on it.
Jr.'s confirmed to be coming back. We're just getting teasers. And my worry for this film is so high, because I love these characters. I love the world that they've built despite some missteps. I'm a Star Trek fan. We're used to one third of it being not great, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and it's just this Avengers film feels so unearned. Everything in the past 5 years feels so thrown together and full of crap.
Well,
And
there,
I just
yeah,
it's sad. It's like watching your beloved dog age and get grayer and slower, and you're like, no, I have to put it down now.
yeah.
That's what the MCU feels like to me right now.
Well,
And I'm
it's
not exaggerating because as somebody who loves stories and movies and storytelling and films, characters, superheroes, science fiction, fantasy, as much as I do, it genuinely feels like putting down a beloved pet.
yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it's yeah, exactly what you're saying, along with the fact that they still have nothing to sell us except nostalgia for old characters. Like
And
there's not
it's
any.
nostalgia for something that's less than 15 years old.
But to me, yeah, well, there's that, but also, I mean, they're bringing back, Fox X-Men, actors, for little cameos, and
Oh,
I mean, but it's it. They're not, they have no confidence in the story, or else they'd be selling us in the story. They are completely banking on people just wanting to see. And the thing is, that strategy, it will get people to go see it once, but it will not get people to see it a second time. If the movie is
mm,
not also really good, you're not going to get, because I mean, you and I, despite our trepidations, of course, you and I, I'm assuming we're going to be there opening weekend. I know I'm going to be, and I'm
yeah.
assuming you will be also. But I've seen most Marvel movies more than once at the theater. But if this movie is just a cool reunion tour and nothing better than that, then that's what's going to land this movie at what would have 15 years ago could be been considered amazing, a 600 $800 million gross, but in the way that it's being made now, that would be considered a disaster, and that is what will happen if that's all they've got. And the thing is, I know that they got the writers back from, I forget their names, the writing pair that worked with the Russos a lot, and they wrote Endgame and Infinity. Like, and they're they've written some good stuff, but they still were building off something. Like, it wasn't just Endgame doesn't work in a vacuum, and so Doomsday is being asked to work, especially in a vacuum, because Fantastic Four, it was I enjoyed it, and it was successful-ish at the box office, but nowhere near what it needed to do to set up the anticipation for the next big bad. I mean, the anticipation for Doctor Doom is what, a tenth of what we were anticipating with Thanos going into Infinity War.
Sorry, was that a question?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, I think they're somewhere in there, right? As far as the anticipation that you
Yeah.
had. Yeah, and I know Doctor Doom is one of the most popular comic book villains of all time, and I'm just
Doctor Doom
saying,
is lame.
in pop culture, I don't know enough about him to say whether he's good or not. I don't have the qualifications to answer that, but just like given the way that the internet presents it, he's a lot of people know his name, right?
I genuinely believe that's almost entirely manufactured.
Really?
The average person doesn't give a shit about Doctor Doom. They did some really interesting things with the character in the 2000s, so comic book fans are like Doctor Doom. And the fact is, for 50 years, for 40 years, 35 years, whatever you want to, lame villain,
Okay.
bland, uninteresting, the most basic of basic villains. His name is Doctor Doom. He has a robot face and he wears a cloak.
I mean, he's a
They
product
did
of
some
the
interesting
50s,
things
right?
with him.
The Golden Age or whatever.
No. The Marvel doesn't exist in the Golden Age. The Golden Age of comics is almost entirely things like DC Comics, Fawcett Comics,
So is he silver? Or
a
when does he...
number of them. The Silver Age is officially said to have begun with the debut of Barry Allen as the Flash. Sorry, Wally West as Flash, and it's no Barry Allen. Yeah, Barry Allen as Flash, and around that time, Marvel, the first Marvel comic with Stan Lee and everything was Fantastic Four. Um, so that was early 60s, where the Silver Age supposedly began with the debut of Barry Allen as the Flash, which occurred in 1956, I think, 1957 maybe, and um, so Marvel kind of looked at how comics were changing as the Comics Authority Code was kind of taking over, and they were like, "Oh, how can we make these wholesome things for kids and adult readers alike?" And created the Fantastic Four, which then led into all of these things. And Doctor Doom appeared in the Fantastic Four. I want to say 1963.
I just looked it up. Is in Fantastic Four number 5, 1962. So he was pretty early in Fantastic Four's run.
1962. Yeah. Yeah, very much so, because he's always been their big thing. But he was the basic villain. There was nothing that interesting or special. Eventually, they crafted his character so that his gimmick is the fact that he's not actually like pure evil. He's a megalomaniacal genius who knows that he could lead humanity into the future in the best possible way, better than anyone, and he's going to need to fight for that power and control. So there's a type of there's a type of magnanimity to his character. And but he's just boring. They eventually made it so that his gimmick was also that he was both a master of technology and magic together. He was a techno sorcerer, and I think that they're going to be playing off that quite a bit in the upcoming movies. But his character is so easily done badly that I genuinely believe that a lot of the love that we see for the character of Doctor Doom that's happened over the past 5 years is propaganda almost. Well, I know that some people really love Secret Wars when they made him like the god of the multiverse and everything, which is what there's very largely going to be playing off of in these upcoming movies.
Yeah.
It's just, I'm not excited about the character of Doctor Doom. I think that Kang would have been pretty interesting if they'd kept with the original Jonathan Majors plan, depending on how they would do it. But honestly, they fumbled the ball after Endgame with not immediately establishing an interim villain. They could have brought back Ultron for a little bit to have him like an interim villain as they established their next big threat. And I think that they needed a smaller threat. I think that they needed something that was going to be less universe-ending, world-ending, and make it more street-level ideological. Even the Mandarin would have sufficed. Or what's his face? Ejiofor's character in Doctor Strange. He could have been a great big bad. Imagine if you had somebody who literally wanted to like remove humanity's ability to touch magic, and which would then... and he ends up pairing with a reconstituted version of Ultron, and then you have an Avengers movie where they need to deal with both magic and technology, and you have these established characters and villains that you followed coming from heroic roots, like Ejiofor, Baron Mordo, that was the character's name, and Ultron, who we've already seen, voiced by the incredible James Spader. That they could have done so many great things. And I literally just thought of that idea off the top of my head right now sitting here talking with you. That's not something that I had thought of previously and had rehearsed.
Well,
go ahead. Shouldn't be that hard, Yeah.
I completely agree with you in the, and I'll just end on this because I know we want to wrap this up because I know we'll revisit this topic many times. Oh, no, it's fine. We could talk about this for the next hour. That's what I'm like. We've talked about this off podcast about, specifically for me, Star Trek, all the new Trek stuff on Paramount Plus. One of the things that I dislike the most is that it's always the end of the freaking universe. Like every threat is like, everybody's going to die. It's the end of everything. And, superhero movies do the same thing where everything has got to be the idea of escalation. There's a time and a place for that. And there definitely are stories in that type that I like. It's not that I dislike that as a story, but there's this trap that writers seem to fall into where, like, once you go big, you can never dial it back. And it's like, no, if you do some great character stuff and you make just a fantastic movie, you can dial it back and people will follow you. Not everything has to be the end of the world. And because you're going to end up escalating to the point where nothing has meaning anymore. and you keep getting more over the top in order to have your villains solve, your heroes solve the problems, and the villains have to get that much more of it. It just, the escalation problem is real, and I get the challenge, but yeah, I completely agree with you in that I wish they could pull things back, have some smaller stories, and yeah, I think that and I know that they tried that with Disney Plus, that was the goal, to do some smaller stories. They just they failed. I'll just put it that way. I mean, there are some gems. I'm not somebody who thinks that every Disney Plus show was bad, but I do think there was a net negative that did to Marvel because one, the pacing of release of stories and just how characters went, but also the expectation of the movies, and it just, there's so many problems. But I wish that they had yeah, like you said, some kind of a better plan. And I get that they were trying to do Kang, and the end of Loki season 1 was a cool tease, and there was definitely some good stuff there that they could have done a better job. But,
I mean, the best part of Ant-Man Quantumania with Jonathan Majors is Kang. He was like the perfect Sith Lord.
Yeah. But it's, they just fumbled. They fumbled hard, and it's a shame. Mm-hmm. So it's yeah. But I'm sure we will revisit this topic many times as we go through phase 2 here, because that's how we're going to start this new year. So yeah, we'll be back. It should be Dark World next, right?
Yes, it should.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to revisiting that because I have not watched that in a while. I'm going to refresh myself on behind the scenes, but I'm going to enjoy that movie, live again, kind of like this one, where I've seen it several times, but it's been long enough, and I'm not going to watch it right away again. I'm going to enjoy it as we watch it together. But I will review some factoids on it before we record next week, so I'm looking forward to it.
Same. I'm really excited to delve into that one because it's a weird production.
Yeah, and there are some parts of that movie that I actually like. So
yeah, same.
Yeah. All right. Well, good night, everybody.
All right. Good night, everybody.